or sort of a bite, and you have a fight between my state versus a Kuki dominated area. A lot of Kuki leaders came. But before I start this conversation, to a bite, a video, I'll take you through some political reactions.
Suddenly, one video clip is being viral all over the nation, which was really obvious. All the legislature, term it was a crime to get punished, the culprit, the element at the highest punishment up to the capital punishment. We will make effort to get it. Legislature party and the people of the state want to appeal to the people of the state that and elders, we should respect the women, we should respect our sisters. Started operation immediately after seeing the video clips, and now further investigation is going on, and those who involved at the earliest. Thank you.
Sir, how many arrested and how many?
Yesterday, and recently I got one information, another one also arrested now. And this, I want to make it more elaborate. Thank you.
Sir, police got the information, registered the FIR, but
क्या है इसको identify करने में time लगा, तो immediately.
Let us play some bites of people from ground zero.
Today at Lake of area to show our anger and dissatisfaction against the outrages, and also we are very much unrest activities done by the meitei mobs. So the COTU will compare to launch a very strong series of agitation in the days to come. And lastly, COTU appeal once again the central government expedite the political talks of UPF and KNO to of separate administration for the Kukis or tribals.
Can a normal people do these things? Meitei mobs are parading a Kuki zone, woman and a daughter, naked, in even cats, dogs, animals, never committed this kind of filthy act. Totally lost their human nature to God, to catch the crooked, the rapists, and do necessary action. This is last. Weeping for them, we are so sad. We plead to the government to
We want justice! 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 Justice! We want justice! We want separate administration! We want separate
with my input editor Brijesh. Brijesh, 4 arrests after something goes viral. Is it a strange? And no arrest when nothing is viral?
Absolutely. I think, it will on 18th of May. And, from 18th of May, and the police was aware of the incident right from day one, because, May till 18th of July or 19th of July, the police, the administration chose the police acts with alacrity, which puts the bigger question in play. If the police was this alert, shouldn't have police arrested all these perpetrators then and there, which would have sent a very strong message that that the come what may, whether you are Kuki or a meitei, the police is only side with law. And if the police is doing this, then can you really blame one ethnicity if they don't display any trust in the police force? So I think a big investigation should be launched. It is commendable that these 4 people have been arrested, but a big investigation should be launched, Kartikeya, which should determine who all were aware of the incident and why no action has been taken till now, and strict action should be taken against them. Only then the belief in the rule of law, the belief in force of law will be there in the eyes of people at large. Otherwise, this is just like if you have connection, if you have jack, then you can get your work done from police, or if you can bring enough heat on them, only then they will react. I mean, I completely fail to understand why the police, which can arrest 4 of these perpetrators within 24 hours of that video going viral, chose not to do anything from 4th of May till 18th of July, anything. And this speaks volumes about the kind of bias that was practiced. And until and unless I think those people are either dismissed from service or strict action is taken against them, I don't think that there will be a message which will go that the government means business.
I'm joined by Dr. Guite. I'm also joined by Mr. Suhas Sharma and Anshuman Chaudhary. A very warm welcome to all of you. First to Dr. Guite, the floor is yours. Do you agree with Brijesh when he says that strong action needs to be taken? People who were charged of the investigation, they need to be, those who are investigated need to be taken to task for the delay and the lackadaisical attitude they demonstrated.
Criminal delay, Kartikeya.
Criminal delay is the word. Dr. Guite.
Completely agree. I completely agree with Brijesh. And I would say, like the bites you play out of the Chief Minister, I feel these are foul-mouthed, misanthropic, misogynist that can be, which, I mean, at large, I see that the Chief Minister, the law and order situation. So these are the culprits. They are all hired. They are trained. They are given free hand to conduct all this and to carry out this task. And what is the task? The task is to create a terror among the Kuki people, to such a terror that they run away from the land which they are occupying. It's all a fight for the land. They just want more and more land. They want land more into the hill areas. And for that purpose, they term the Kuki as an illegal immigrants, as a narcotic, traders and whatnot. You all are aware about it. But if that is the question, the main issue, why is such a magnitude of violence and then ethnic cleansing kind of an activities being carried out, why can't this be talked out in a table or in a dialogue if it's at all an issue of the land? And this has been, like many of the scholars and academicians have also spoken about it from initial time when this violence broke out since 3rd May, the issue of being scheduled tribe status, and then the issue of being land, identity, all these things, and then the differences in historical narratives. So my concerns, I keep asking myself, why is this so much of violence against women, children and men has to be carried out, and that too against a particular community, the Kuki community? What is their fault? I keep thinking about these 2 women. This is just, as I said yesterday, this is just a tips of the iceberg. There are many other sexual violence which has been assaulted, which has been carried out during this entire period of 2.5 months. And, we see women playing a very important role in this, the whole violence which has unfolded, and we see on the other hand women as a victim also, and we see on the other hand women who are telling their sons to rape the woman from the Kuki community. So, and then this video which surfaced created so much of an uproar, even at the national level, international level. But what about that video which have also been on the surface, where a group of women telling their sons to rape two particular Kukis or women? Nobody has spoken about that. And the question is, why is so much an uproar? I know it has shake our conscience of everyone, each one of us. I think every man should hang their head in shame that at this 21st century we are conducting, or I would say behaving in such a manner, like that lady in the protest, she herself said that we don't treat animals also like that, the way they have treated the two women. So, you know, it's strongly condemned by everyone, and also, I mean, at the parliament and at the legislation, the legislators, everyone, even women rights activists, everyone has come out. Today there are a series of protests which are lining up and been getting invitation to speak on that. And then, you know, so I would say that my question is, why is this video which has surfaced, why did it took us so long as a civil society to wake up to this violence? Is not the other violence which has been continuing happening each and every day of these 75 days is not. And then Brijesh, we have been discussing even in this platform as a journalist, as an academician, as a scholars, but talking and thinking about is very good, but action speaks more louder. So the Prime Minister has said condemnation about it. It's totally acceptable. But I think now we have to look to the government of India for that permanent and long-lasting solution. No more talking. Action has to come now. So this is my...
No more talking, action has to come now. Okay, no more talking, action has to come now. The government has shown some action, but I think its action is very, very delayed. Anshuman, the sort of... the speed at which action has been taken shows that unless and until there is public pressure or outrage in this country, nothing seems to work. Till it was buried deep inside, everything was okie dokie, you know. Absolutely. You had only clips coming out of Manipur, you know, tweets. And when there is a public outrage, you find the man in the middle speaking to the press every 4th hour. I mean to say that जितना बीरेन सिंह जी ने पिछले 24 घंटे में बोला होगा, मुझे उतना याद नहीं पिछले 7 दिनों में इस तरीके से बात की होगी. Anshuman.
Yes, in fact, it looks like he's doing this to compensate for the gross lack of action that his administration has shown over the last 3 months. More than 2 months rather. What is in fact stunning is, as we have seen the clips play over and over again yesterday, what the Chief Minister said, that hundreds of such cases have taken place. He's admitted it himself. It's the clearest admission so far from the Chief Minister himself of not just the unending violence, the spiraling violence in his state, but the abject failure of his administration to prevent that collapse of law and order and prevent that violence. Even in the press conference clip that you were playing just now, he says that the violence has been going on since a long time, so there are so many incidents, it's difficult to handle that. But that's not an excuse. A state administration which has such extensive resources, investigative resources and prosecutorial resources at its disposal, should not need social media to jump into action, right? It needs to unilaterally deploy those assets that it has to find to go after these cases, to find the culprits and prosecute them and take them to court, right? So we should not be needing random clips on social media to push the administration to an action. What is even more surprising is that, which has already been discussed, is that we already know that the FIR was filed on the 18th of May, then it was re-registered due to jurisdictional issues on the 21st of June, and it was in fact reported by the print sometime in July, I think 12th or 11th July, right? This particular case of which the video we are seeing now was already reported by the print, and I was just reading that report. There is a statement quoted in that print report by a senior police officer, statement given by a senior police officer from the Manipur police, in which they said that there are allegations of rape. I quote, there are allegations of rape from both communities, meiteis and Kukis, but no case has been registered so far. The consent of the victim is required and the police cannot take suo motu action. Now, the police here is saying that no case has been registered so far. This is like a blanket excuse that the police is giving. And now this time it's proved that no, that's also not the case. Cases were registered. FIRs were registered. Specific, not just zero FIRs. FIRs were registered within the jurisdictional limits of where the crimes happened. Despite the specific action, and once the FIR is registered, it's no more suo motu action. You have to take action pursuant to the FIR. So what we have seen is an abject failure of the criminal justice system, of the law and order system to prevent sexual violence, which clearly has happened at a mass scale by the Chief Minister's own admission.
Suhasji, the last we spoke, we were speaking about one arrest. Now 3 more arrests have taken place. It's total 4 arrests. But there are Kuki MLAs who are saying that many more videos like that. So the allegations of a set of MLAs is that this is the tip of the iceberg. Do you agree? Your assessment?
Well, absolutely. I mean, this is the tip of the iceberg, and had the social media or the internet was functioning in Manipur, the real truth would have come out. And if you look at the response of the government of India is basically to target the messengers. So that's why they have been taking actions against Twitter. They will be taking action against those who are distributing the genuine videos, but they shall not be taking any action with respect to those who are propagating hate. And we have seen so many, social media posts from the Bucks linking with the pre-pack arrest and etc. So I think we live in a delusion. I would like to believe that, there will be some more arrests in this particular case. And this will be the only case in Manipur where action will be taken, simply because this is under the radar of the Supreme Court of India. Beyond this case, I do not expect any action to be taken. I mean, we will be living in delusion if we expect that, the state government of Manipur is going to take action. It's simply because the government of India at this point of time is headed by the Prime Minister, who himself has been accused so many times to fulfill his Raj Dharma when he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat. And how do you expect that at this point of time, the situation will be different with respect to Biren Singh? If there has to be some command responsibility, some responsibility for official, dereliction of duty, it doesn't stop with the police. See, the Home Minister of this state is Chief Minister Biren Singh. So he is liable for it as the Home Minister, forget about as the Chief Minister. So the DGP is responsible for it. So, of course, if the Supreme Court is going to press for action against the police personnel who had, allowed these women to be snatched from the custody of the police will still take action. But please don't live in any illusion whatsoever that there shall be any action beyond this particular case. Beyond this particular case, because the understanding in Delhi and the understanding in Imphal at this point of time is, if there are no violence, no fresh killings of each other, this situation will die down and it will have a natural solution. People will forget about it. They have to carry on. They have to live with their own lives. So unless this kind of videos come up, nobody will forget, nobody will raise the issue. So the position of the government of India and the position of the state of Manipur is very clear that Biren Singh is here to stay. Contrary to the facts that, if you look at this situation, this is the first riot in the Northeast in the age of information technology. So the mobilization of the people is so deep-rooted from both sides. If you have not seen the partition of India, this is exactly what it was like. This was the way, Pakistan and India were created. People were divided, people were merged, people had migrated, people were forced to migrate, and people still lived on. That's what the expectation is. that you bring some leaders from both communities, assuage them whatever in Delhi, and common people will be left to mend themselves. And that's why if you look at the policies of the government of India, nobody talks about the package for rehabilitation of people who are displaced. You can, and the first step for rehabilitation, not only for those who are killed, first step for assuaging the sentiment is the rehabilitation of each and every family which has been displaced. And nobody even today talks about repatriation of the people who have fled to Mizoram. And Mizoram government has been begging from the government of India, and they have not been paying a single penny. Is that the way Union of India should be functioning?
Okay.
Is there a dearth for resources that you cannot pay to the government of Mizoram?
Okay, General Meston also joins me. A very warm welcome to you, General. Last conversation I had with you was in the context of the buffer zone that has been created. Today the question is not about the buffer zone. Today the question is about the videos which are coming before the buffer zone came into force. So I have a twofold question for you. How long in such situation buffer zones can function, because they have to be a temporary alignment in a democratic way of system. And the second issue is that what does it tell us? The first 72 hours or 92 hours or 102 hours of violence, no administration, no police. I mean to say there was a structure of violence and supported by a structure of silence, and both are damaging each other. General Meston.
Kartikeya, good morning. Very pertinent questions, and I will just answer it in a very holistic manner. The previous panelists referred to as the partition of India also, and with that I will just add on one thing. The only leader in this country who is known as the father of nation was Mahatma Gandhi. Why? He was considered as the father of nation for basically one reason, that he wanted to unite the people of India, irrespective of their caste, community, religion. That was his basic thing. And next, whatever he wanted to do was, of course, in a very, very non-violent way, peaceful way. And that is why he was referred to as the father of nation. He was the binding factor. Now coming on to Manipur, let us start from our household. All of us today are fathers. Some of us will be fathers. What is the role of, and we have seen our fathers, what is the role of a father? Treat all children equally, and any child who has some problems in any way, you have to uplift him so that he feels equal to everyone. And that is what is the role of any leader. Leader in Manipur is the Chief Minister, and therefore the role of the Chief Minister is to bind all people together, irrespective of their ethnicity. This division, I have served there. I have seen the people living there in such harmony, in such peaceful ways. Now, what has happened? Why this flare-up? And why? You have raised a very important question. The first 24 hours, 36 hours, nothing done. This is exactly what the whole question is. A leader is to bind his people, not exploit people. That means supporting a particular ethnicity and trying to be their favorite at the behest of annoying the other ethnicity. This is what exactly has happened. And when a leader does this, this is exactly what Jinnah did. He brought a divide between the two major religious communities in our country. Our leader, therefore, has a very, very important role, and he has to use everything at his disposal. Law and order is the responsible of leader of the state. Use all law and order machinery, and that is what is supposed to be assisted.
General Meston, I'm just sorry, I'm stopping you. There's another dimension. I just want to get that dimension in, and then I'll come back to you. For the other dimension is, I just want to show this to our viewers that I thought that a debate would take place in Parliament. We have made a clip. Please play those visuals. I want to show the viewers what happened in the Parliament. This is what happened in the Parliament.
प्रश्नकाल प्रश्न संख्या 21 श्रीमती साजदा अहमद साजदा प्रश्नकाल प्रश्न संख्या 21 श्रीमती साजदा अहमद मंत्री जी.
So, Brijesh, it's very evident that the houses will be non-functional because of politics of Manipur. That is what I wanted to show, and that is what I am showing on the stream. Houses have become non-functional. Why? Because Manipur is a debate best not done.
I would not put it like this, Kartikeya. I think when you have a situation like Manipur, and if the opposition is demanding the Prime Minister to make a statement and then a proper discussion to take place, I would not like to attribute motive to the opposition, because this is something which any party in the opposition will do. I mean, if I say that only Congress does it and BJP has never done it, I will be factually incorrect and it would be improper on my part. So if the opposition wants a discussion to be done, then it has to be done. I mean, there's no shying away from the fact. Yes, Manipur has a troubled history. Yes, Northeast has a troubled history. Yes, in past we have seen many more people dying than the number of people who have died in the last 70 days. The situations have been much more worse than the situation is right now. But that doesn't take away from the fact that 150 plus people have died. Women have been gang raped and paraded naked. And that needs to be discussed.
Isn't that right that our sources have told us, our group sources have told us, that the government was immediately ready for a short duration discussion, but opposition now wants this discussion under a different head, a longer discussion which says we adjourn the matters for the day, because this Manipur will be taken as priority, not as a short duration discussion, and to be held at a point of time in which the Prime Minister himself participates. So the action is not now limited to Amit Shah. It has now gone, they have raised the stake and they have included the Prime Minister.
See, the initial demand was also from the Prime Minister. What has happened is that video has forced the hand of the ruling dispensation. That is the reason when Prime Minister made a statement, the opposition was quick to latch onto it, saying that why did Prime Minister made a statement outside the house? Why didn't he make a statement inside the house? And now, I mean, this is politics. I mean, there's there are no two ways about it. But I think if the house has to be adjourned, I think if there's a discussion which needs to be done, I think the issue is serious enough to warrant a serious discussion.
I think, if you ask me, before I start playing out the other vox pops, for me the most important thing is that why hasn't this house taken up issues of, apart from discussing Manipur, internet ban in Manipur. This has happened when because of lack of technology, issues like this have not come. I wish those technologies would have been available and it would have come. So why this technology is not being used, I am very, very surprised. Let us play out the bite.
But I just want to respond to it for a second, because if you remember that internet is a double-edged sword. Technology is a double-edged sword. The fact that this gang rape happened is not because of any word. This because of a false video which was circulated on WhatsApp. Which said that a meitei woman has been brutalized, and in response to that, this particular incident happened. So internet ban is a double-edged sword. It's not like a one-way street. It's a double-edged sword.
I agree that
one WhatsApp message can do far more damage than 50 people put together.
But what has internet ban done? What has internet, the leak through the internet has done? It has allowed the most heinous thing to come on air. I know it creates false news. I know it has a problem. I know internet ban has stabilized certain areas of Manipur by not letting fake news spread. But what internet has also done is enabled public opinion to pressurize the government. It has brought the worst truth outside. It has exposed the governance there in Manipur. So I know it's a double-edged sword, but it has exposed certain things. Let us play out the bite of Derek O'Brien and let's play out the bite of Rajnath Singh.
Professor, I have a point of order today, sir. Page 91, 261 and 262. Regarding the expunging of words used in Parliament. I've got two examples, sir, which we can quickly correct. 261, what can be used, what can't be used. Sir.
What is your point of order?
That about the words being used in Parliament just now.
What is your point of order?
These words need to be...
What is point of order?
My point of order is the... Sir, my point of order is in Rule 261.
Derek, one second.
No. Is the word... 1 minute, sir.
One second. I know. Raghav, take your seat.
Just 1 second, Raghav.
Is something wrong with your seat? Every time you jump. Derek, 1 second.
Sir, my point of order is on the words which can be used in this house or not. That's my limited point of order. I'm going to give you 261, 262.
All
Two
right.
examples. Yes, sir.
Very fine. But what is the point of order?
The point? Lord, sir. Please. Three words were expunged. I'm going to give you 4 words. Yesterday we said the Prime Minister should open his mouth on Manipur. Is Prime Minister got expunged? Manipur got expunged. Why?
It is expunged.
Sir,
One second.
You called him a
One second.
Sir.
No, one second.
You called him a
No, 1 second. The House is adjourned. Meet at 2:30 p.m.
My panelists, before I go back to my panelists, let me play out. Before I go back to my panelists, let me play out a bite of the governor of Manipur. Listen in.
ये जो वीडियो आया है, वायरल हुआ है, आज पूरा देश भी शर्मसार हुआ है और इसको लेकर कई लोगों ने बहुत सारा क्रोध, नाराजी, गुस्सा। मैं समझती हूँ कि जिस तरीके की घटना है, किसी भी व्यक्ति को एकदम हिला देने वाला, झंझोड़ देने वाला, जो कि आप समझते हैं कि मैं मणिपुर की एज ए गवर्नर होने के नाते आज मेरे प्रदेश में इस तरह की घटना होना, ये मेरे मणिपुर प्रदेशवासियों के लिए भी एक बहुत बड़ा ऐसी घटना, उनको भी बहुत दुख हुआ होगा। कोई भी हो, किसी भी तरह की हमारी जो बहनें हैं और इस तरह से जिन व्यक्तियों ने किया है, ये बहुत ही हैवानियत कहना चाहिए और ऐसे लोगों के ऊपर तो जितनी से कड़ी सजा होनी चाहिए, उनको देना चाहिए।
अध्यक्ष महोदय, मणिपुर की घटना निश्चित रूप से बहुत ही गंभीर है और इसकी गंभीरता को समझते हुए हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने स्वयं ही इस बात को कहा है, मणिपुर में जो कुछ भी हुआ है उससे पूरा का पूरा राष्ट्र शर्मसार हुआ है और यहाँ तक कि मणिपुर की घटनाओं को लेकर कठोर से कठोर कार्रवाई किए जाने की बात हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कही है और हम चाहते हैं कि मणिपुर की घटना पर संसद में चर्चा हो। मैंने ऑल पार्टी मीटिंग में स्वयं भी इस बात को कहा है और आज मैं फिर से सदन में दोहराना चाहता हूं कि हम चाहते हैं कि मणिपुर की घटना पर संसद में चर्चा होनी चाहिए। लेकिन मैं देख रहा हूं कि कुछ ऐसे राजनीतिक दल हैं जो कि अनावश्यक यहाँ पर ऐसी स्थिति पैदा करना चाहते हैं ताकि किसी भी सूरत में मणिपुर की घटना पर चर्चा न हो पाए। मैं स्पष्ट रूप से यह आरोप लगाना चाहता हूँ अध्यक्ष महोदय कि सचमुच यह प्रतिपक्ष मणिपुर की घटना को लेकर जितना गंभीर होना चाहिए वो गंभीर नहीं है और अध्यक्ष महोदय मणिपुर की घटना को गंभीरतापूर्वक लेते हुए उस पर चर्चा होनी चाहिए। फिर से मैं अपनी इस बात को दोहराना चाहता हूं और मणिपुर की घटना को प्रतिपक्ष भी गंभीरतापूर्वक ले।
चर्चा नहीं करना चाहते,
आप वाद विवाद नहीं करना चाहते, सदन नहीं चलाना चाहते, आप देश की जनता चाहती है सदन चले, मुद्दों पे चर्चा होगी, उससे समाधान होगा, नारेबाजी से समाधान नहीं होगा। सरकार तैयार है चर्चा के लिए, आप तैयार नहीं हो, सदन की कार्रवाई 12 बजे तक के लिए स्थगित की जाती है।
So the parliament is not functioning. The whole controversy in parliament is about how the debate should happen, in which clauses the debate should happen, who should speak in the debate, but the debate has not happened. So which means that there is no statement which will be available to us from the government of India. But there is another thing, Mr. Chakma, you had raised your hand, and I want to ask you, the sort of weapons that have been looted, it shows that the 80% of the weapons looted are in the valley, 20% are from the hills, and 99% of them have not come back, or 90% of them have not come back. Isn't that a big failure on part of the administration? Imagine LMGs and
AK-47s and SLRs
have disappeared with some 62,000, I think, lakhs of bullets. That data was made
4 to
available.
5 lakh bullets.
4 to 5 lakh bullets. They've all disappeared.
So that is why from the beginning I have been saying that the state itself had decided to arm the civilians, and the Chief Minister is no longer the Chief Minister of the entire people of Manipur. He represents particular community, and he speaks in a manner as if he is responding on behalf of the community, of a particular community, which is extremely unfortunate. So this arming of the civilians basically amounts to creation of civil war, and you have seen this kind of system where the state has completely collapsed. So it's not a question of a failed state. It's just that a deficit of the state structure itself has collapsed, and the government actually doesn't exist. And despite such gravity of situation, which we had seen when civil war had broken out in former Yugoslavia or Rwanda or Burundi, when mass genocide had taken place, obviously, those are being replicated in Manipur. So that is why, in fact, when I was looking at this debate in Parliament, is not the Prime Minister a member of Parliament? If he can speak from outside the Parliament, why can't he speak inside the Parliament? So the very fact that the Prime Minister refuses to discuss on an issue where riots have taken place for the last 79 days, thousands are still displaced, and nobody can come back, it basically shows that the government is not in a way ready to discuss it. And why shouldn't there be a discussion, and why shouldn't the Prime Minister of the country be responding to the citizens? So if you do not respond before the Parliament, if you do not respond to press conferences, then where will get the answer? So at the end of the day, what do we have? We have a very insensitive government. Now, if this kind of riots have taken place in any other parts of the country, whether it is ruled by the BJP, CPM, Congress, the citizens of the country, demand or desire debate in the Parliament so that we can hear it. And look at all the democracies where presidents go, Prime Minister speaks, and we have a situation here in this country that visit by the Prime Minister to the Parliament has become such an issue of prestige. Now, what is going to make difference? It's not going to make any difference if the Prime Minister participates. But at the end of the day, he is head of the government. And as I said yesterday, the Prime Minister would not have spoken a single word if Registry of the Supreme Court had not instructed the Attorney General and the Solicitor General to be present at 10:30 before the Chief Justice on the situation of Manipur. So to prevent or to ensure that you do not look somebody, or it becomes more difficult for you to speak after the Chief Justice had spoken from the podium of the Supreme Court, then you go and hurriedly organize a press conference and you speak about it. So it shows the insincerity, and that's what I'm saying. We live in delusions, we live in illusions, and I am saying, I might be sounding very pessimistic, there shall not be peace for a long period of time, and there shall not be any accountability whatsoever, including the arms. You know, when I see in this panel and in any other panels, people come up and say, only rusted weapons we are taken away. So you could see that, you know, particular party ideologues or supporters even justifying the snatching of the arms. Can we snatch and rusted arms from the Delhi police, from UP police, from Bihar police? In which country, under which law, that you can snatch the weapons and government announces an amnesty that you can come and deposit your arms in a box without giving accountability of the bullets which you have used? So what do we have? We have a situation in Manipur, whether we like it or not. Of course, there are armed groups, but the state itself is creating a situation where taking away or snatching arms from the security forces is not an offense, and you will not be held accountable. If Indian Penal Code is to be followed, all those who have returned the arms, they have to be prosecuted, because in the offense was you have snatched the arms. And how could be you in a position of snatch down? But this basic Indian Penal Code, even where cases, the evidence doesn't require or is not required, it's admitted. The moment you go and deposit your arms, you admit that you are in possession of an illegal arm, whether you snatched it or not snatched it. You have gone and deposited. Will somebody take action on this? Obviously not. So when 4,000 arms have been
that's a very fair point. That's a very fair point. Dr. Guite, it also shows that there has been no house-to-house search that has happened. If you want to recover weapons, people are not going to admit that they have taken the weapons. Secondly, those collection points in which people have said that you can come and deposit it, that policy has not worked. That's the second part. And the third part is that you have so many weapons in the valley itself, thereby arming the entire community, which means that police must be aware of no-go areas.
Well, Kartikeya, when the stories which are coming out is that the police itself is like, the word looted is used within courts, which means whether you don't know whether it has been looted or handed over. How do you expect people to come out and deposit it?
I take your point in all sincerity, but it just worries me that ki audit kisko kaun karega audit? Who's going to audit whom? Dr. Guite, who's going to audit whom? And and I'm going to show you, because we are doing a longer program today, we're going to show you some visuals, not now, later. First you respond on this. We have visuals from ground zero. What has happened post that visual? I'm going to show it to you. Take your response on that, because this also shows that how circle or the cycle of violence flares up. It increases. So in this case, do you think that the outside force should be used to recover weapon force outside the state of Manipur, or should this job go to Indian Army now? Dr. Guite.
Just a small comment on the armed forces, where the arms and ammunitions which were being looted, and then you put a drop box on that, right? It's, what will I say, the right word is not coming right now, but it's sounding very funny actually, that in a way, indirectly, you are telling them, okay, you have looted, that's fine, come and drop it now. You won't be questioned, you won't be caught. It's like if I draw a simile with when demonetization happened, and when you are given that period to come and whatever black money you have, you can come and deposit in the bank, nothing will be said to you, won't be caught. So it's like, indirectly accepting the fact that, and also being a party to it, that, those arms were being, in fact, it's not looted. In fact, it's been handed over. And there is a video which is circulating where a witness or an activist from Imphal Valley itself, when she was talking about it, that she is an eyewitness to it, that it was handed over.
Anshuman, do you think that the political expediency is getting better of administrative priority in Manipur? Because there's a narrative in Delhi which says, Anshuman, that The CM has become a mighty hero. So why destabilize him? So the question is political expediency on top of the administrative priority?
I mean, I doubt it. I mean, in that sense, the chief minister, as Dr. Chakma has said, the chief minister is supposed to be a figure, and also as the Major General had said, the chief minister is supposed to be a figure who's a center point of unity, who's a symbol of unity, who can bring different groups together and not just speak on behalf of one group, which is what the current chief minister seems to be doing. So in that sense, I would say the politically expedient thing to do in this case would be for him to step down and let someone come in who commands a sense of trust, universal trust, and faith from all communities. In that sense, I believe that will go a long way in stabilizing the situation, because as we have seen, the fact that significant chunk of Manipur's population seems to have lost faith in the elected representative is adding to this cycle of violence that we have been discussing since a while right now. Few days back, we saw that there were talks about him resigning, and then there was a whole sort of theatrical series of events in which we saw a letter which was torn apart, and then he did not resign. Now also we are seeing a similar chatter, where despite a mountain of evidence that there was abdication of duty on the part of the state, the abject failure of the state to control the law and order situation, and also bring the perpetrators of mass sexual violence to justice. Despite this, we are still hearing chatter that Chief Minister Biren Singh won't be resigning. Right now, this exudes a sense of I would say extreme arrogance on his part. Or a sense that no matter what, no matter how low the situation goes, how badly the violence spirals, he is going to stay in power, right? And not act in public in the sense for the good of the greater good of Manipur. Right, so this is in fact adding, I would say, to the sense of instability, to this lingering sense of that there could be violence at any point of time. So I would say, if it is about political expediency, then both the central and the state leadership, must review immediately, urgently, the political leadership in Imphal at the moment.
General Minister, okay, General Minister, I'm coming to you for a very specific question. How do you get back the weapons, sir? What is the process? What do you do? The people would really like to know.
Yeah, the weapons can be recovered. There is no denying to the fact. And firstly, I would just add on few things. Then I'll answer this question. If a weapon is lost, I would even come down to ammunition. In the army, one round of ammunition means only one piece of ammunition. Even that, if it goes missing, immediately the entire effort is made to recover it, search it, and order a proper, thorough investigation. And the culprit, whoever has been, if it is a lapse or a deliberate attempt, the person is charge sheeted and he is taken to task. Now here, huge number of weapons have gone missing. Obviously, it's a fact that the police people have themselves ran away, given their weapons, and therefore it is a deliberate ploy to arm some of the people in a particular area, so that the ethnic war or ethnicity divide can be taken care of and people can be eliminated. It is very clear and simple. Now, recovery of the weapons. Firstly, the recovery of the weapons is possible. Now, this cannot be certainly done by the police because they are hands and gloves with the locals. Therefore, it has to be done by the Indian Army. That's the only way. We'll have to induct a large number of people. Then the law and order has to be, obviously, it warrants a presidential rule so that the armed forces have a total authority and leeway to conduct search irrespective of any ethnicity. And they will have to do searches in villages first. Cordon the villages, do a proper search. Thereafter, once it is done, in fact, simultaneous search has to be done in large number of villages, because we won't even have the number of people to do that. And we have to have even women constables, some ladies from the Indian Army will have to be also there, because actually most of women have been unfortunately used as a weapon of warfare in this ethnicity divide. You had when the Chief Minister was actually directed to resign, you had one BJP MLA stating on your channel that he has been directed to resign. And thereafter, what unfolded, it was the women who again played a major role. So women has been used as a weapon of weaponization or instrument of weaponization, which is unfortunate. So therefore, weapons, obviously the women have to be searched. Their places of abode have to be searched. And that cannot be done by the male armed forces people. So it has to be thought of a very, very deliberate operation. Once all the villages have been done, and we have to divide each area. And once it is done, that area should continue to remain under cordon, because if tomorrow the army goes and search some other place, then the weapons from that particular place will reach this village. So the cordon should continue, the sanitization should continue, new areas should be searched, and later the jungles have to be searched, the mountainous terrain has to be searched. It's a very, very major operation. If we are expecting people to come and surrender, no, that will never happen. And that is why this problem, I really do not foresee how it is going to end. And actually, why was this problem created? I would now come back to your first question. Why the 36, 48 hours, nothing happened? That should have been, in fact, the reverse happened. Weapons were given, looted, whatever it is. We all know what happened. People were being eliminated. Religious places were being burned. People were being killed. You have heard a Subedar, a veteran Subedar of the Indian Army, today's Times of India. His statement is there. His wife was also one of them. I think a 42-year-old lady. It is so, ghastly that whatever has happened is such a ghastly. And we had an officer, a Subedar of the Indian Army who served the Indian Army. He fought the Kargil war, and he stated that when in Kargil it was not so dangerous, this place has become the most dangerous place now to be. And he finds now safety and solace in the camps established by the Indian Army. So what is happening? So firstly, this 36 to 48 hours, I think an independent inquiry committed of very, very impartial people with high integrity, they need to go on ground, ascertain the facts as to how the whole thing has been, and large number of heads have to be rolled. There is no doubt. It is the leadership failure, and that is how you asked that question also, why 36? The father figurely has to bind people, not use the people for his, a leader has to serve the people. Let's be very clear. Leader is not supposed to serve himself through people. I'm making a very candid statement. We have also been leaders in the Indian Army. We serve our soldiers. We are for them. They are not for us. They are for the country. Therefore, as officers, we are with them. And this is exactly what all leaders have to do. Take the people along, take them as stakeholders. And next question you also asked is the buffer zone. Buffer zone is no solution. It is just a temporary solution. The
Absolutely agree with you, sir. I absolutely agree with you, sir. I absolutely agree with you. Lot of people are saying that it is a mana. Sir, it is not a mana. I absolutely agree with you. Buffer zone is not a mana. It's a temporary arrangement. It's like a grid. But you can't create two camps in one nation. I absolutely agree with you, Western Saab.
Yeah, very true. And therefore, the people need to be brought as one. And if this thing would have been controlled in 36, 48 hours, let me tell you, this hatred would not have reached to such level. Now the hatred has gone to such deep divides. I am telling you, it is going to take ages. This damage has been done. This will be a unforgettable chapter in the history of India and in the history of Manipur. The damage has been done. Now we have to see efforts to gradually retrieve it. And I think one of the first steps is, why this incident actually came to light, why it has happened. Let's analyze that. If you see the government of India, because I have handled this task way back in 2010-11, and one has been following it up, the government of India was very keen that the Hill Autonomous Council needs to be established. And this time, I think they were very, very clear on that it needs to be signed so that this problem is resolved. And that is why the Indian Army had also started that SU operations. There was a purpose, so that to bring the people into the mainstream and let not the state be unstable, because it suits China. And that is what the intent of the Indian Army was. And therefore, the government of India was in line. And this thing was about to be signed. I think somewhere in February, this proposal was already found. Now, this actually did not suit the leader of a state. Why? because you lose your powers of finance, of governance. This model exactly should have been the Bodoland Territorial Council. This was also done by the government of India. Why? So that the Bodoland problem was to be resolved, and it has been resolved. So what that mean? The governance aspect was given, and also the financial. So the budget had to be given. In this case, if it would have been signed, the Manipur government obviously had to give some portion of the budget to the Hill Council, which has been the demand. Now people are not even demanding Hill Council. Now they are demanding a separate state or a union territory. So it was such a easy solution. The government of India was very, very keen to do it. And somehow it has got mixed up because of the insecurity. The power of finances will be lost. The power of governance will be lost. So therefore, create this mayhem and let the people die. And this is what has happened.
Okay.
So I think now this is what needs to happen. First step is to probably now impose this. The Autonomous Hill Council, whatever has been thought of, conceived by the government of India. And second is, I think, I personally feel, this has been my thought, if the leadership has been failed, then something has to be thought of.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. Leadership is of primary importance. Even Gandhi went to Noakhali in the middle of riots. I think what is required is a moral leadership. Before I show you something which is directly related to what we have witnessed in last 82 hours. These are pictures. Let me just play out two very important bites of Arjun Meghwal and Conrad Sangma, and then we take this conversation to a different part, that is cycle of violence.
देखिए, हम 19 तारीख से ही इस प्रयास में हैं और हमारी तरफ से जब इंडिकेशन उनको गया तो उन्होंने अपने रूप बदलने शुरू किए। 176 में रूल 176 में राज्यसभा में जो नोटिसेज आए हैं वो भी उनके सदस्यों के आए हैं। चेयरमैन साहब जब पढ़ रहे थे तो एकदम से वो कूद गए, नो वी वांट डिस्कशन ऑन 267। वो बोले मैं सीक्वेंस से ही आ रहा हूँ, पहले 176 के नोटिस पढ़ रहा हूँ, फिर 267 पे भी आऊँगा। उनकी बात भी सुनी नहीं और फिर जो आवाज़ें आ रही थी उससे ऐसा लग रहा था कि प्रधानमंत्री जी सदन में आकर के बयान दें। तो विपक्ष जो है बार बार अपना स्टैंड बदल रहा है। जो पहले उनका स्टैंड था, जो ऑल पार्टी मीटिंग में उनका जो स्टैंड था कि मणिपुर पे चर्चा हम चाहते हैं, चर्चा के लिए सरकार तैयार है। विपक्ष जो बार बार स्टैंड बदल रहा है, मैं उनसे अनुरोध करना चाहूँगा कि ये बहुत ही संवेदनशील मुद्दा है, इस पे राजनीति नहीं करनी चाहिए। ये महिलाओं के सम्मान से जुड़ा हुआ मुद्दा भी है, नॉर्थ ईस्ट से जुड़ा हुआ मुद्दा भी है, सीमावर्ती राज्य से जुड़ा हुआ मुद्दा भी है। तो इसके लिए सदन में जब चर्चा होगी तो सारी चीज़ें जो भी नोडल मिनिस्ट्री होगी उसके मंत्री उसको एकदम जो जितनी आवश्यक है वो हम चर्चा करने के लिए तैयार हैं। चर्चा करेंगे, वो भी अपनी बात कहेंगे, हम भी अपनी बात कहेंगे।
The Manipur incident is very, very disturbing. Number one, it is really something that just shouldn't have happened, and the government must take action against all these people who have done this. As I said, I repeat again that this is completely unacceptable, and strong action must be taken.
Sir, will you write also to the Chief Minister of
Absolutely, to the Chief Minister as well as to the Home Ministry and to the Honorable Prime Minister also. You must be aware that even before this, about a month back, I have already written to the Honorable Prime Minister and the Home Minister regarding certain measures and actions to be taken in Manipur, not as Chief Minister of Meghalaya, but as a political party. So, just let me finish. To write to the Honorable Prime Minister and the Home Minister for this. So we have been doing that. In the last all-party meeting that was called, I had attended personally, and we've been stressing on this. So yes, this incident, as I said, is very disturbing, and we will press that all measures should be taken.
And now I'm going to play out visuals. And this comes from the location after the video of the women being paraded by a mob went viral. we have been told, and let me be verbatim, and then I'll take Brijesh on record on this, and let me explain. And these are visuals. So what has happened, and the women have come into action. These are the alleged houses of the accused. The women went there and the houses were torched. Obviously, there is anger. There is anger. We are playing you pic loops and videos. Manipur is unique that women are at forefront when it comes to political activism. They were subject to brutal violence. A video which we saw, and we have been told through a lot of reports that there may be other videos which Kuki MLAs are claiming. We have seen how women played a role in stopping the Chief Minister Biren Singh from leaving his office. We also saw a video posted by the Spear Corps whereby women stop the cavalcade of the armed forces, army. In another case, militants had to be released. The 4 people are under custody. The 4 people are under custody. But what is happening is, and I say this without taking a position, it shows lawlessness, it shows women at front, it shows vigilantism, it also shows that there is a cycle of violence. If anyone has studied Frantz Fanon, and this is for you, Dr. Guite, I'll come to you. Frantz Fanon, that the only way the cycle of violence ends is when the violence ends. Dr. Guite, your first comment on the visuals which are pouring in, which also shows that there is no local authority. The presence of the state is absent. I'll come to you, Brijesh, first.
See, Kartikeya, there can be 50 ways to look at it, when you want to take the administration or hear the administration side. But the fact of the matter is that, the president is called the first person, and the commander-in-chief and all. And governor is said to be the topmost authority. There were a couple of interviews of Governor Anasuya Uke, which was aired. And, one of the lines which she used was an extremely telling line on the law and order situation in the state of Manipur. She said that she had to ask the DGP that, what exactly was the police doing for this long, and would they have taken any action if the video would not have come out. Now imagine the governor has to ask this kind of question to the DGP. It shows the reality of Manipur in its bare form. The fact that governor herself is not very sure of the fact that whether police would have taken any action or not is bizarre. For a police which can arrest those people, I would repeat myself, that which can arrest those people in flat for 36 hours, after once the video became viral and there was massive pressure on them, did not do anything for 70 plus days. This shows you the exact situation where, the Manipur police is. And you know, the versions which are coming out, you know, the version which are coming out, which is, and I have no because, you know, as a good journalist, I must also applaud the fact that, you know, what our fellow journalists who are doing. A report which was published, in which we discussed yesterday also, which has been published in today's The Indian Express, Kartikeya. The family is saying that, you know, that there are two versions of snatching and you know, being looted. They're saying that they were handed over to the mob by the police, which makes this even far more ghastly than you can ever imagine. You know, I can understand that, you know, a mob of 1,000 can outnumber 5 or 10 policemen. It doesn't require rocket science, but for those policemen to hand over the,
you know what,
and not taking any actions, you know, and the kind of registration.
You know, what do I think? You know, for example, in armed forces, such gross acts of indiscipline, you're kicked out of the system. You know, even, you know, armed forces have tradition. Even the mutiny which took the British establishment, Jawaharlal Nehru and other people argued the case. History tells us that they were not inducted back. They were not inducted back into the system. They stayed out of the system. It was a time when the British ruled us, but they were out of the system. So I'm thinking that the people who have contributed in dissolving the administration of the state, they're still part of the system. But this is so grossly incorrect. How will the faith in the system, the police force, come back if those who participated in dissolving that same authority continue to be part of the system? I know it's very naive to say सारे officers बदल दीजिए, सारी constabulary बदल दीजिए, boss आप एक को तो बदलो. But then someone has to go. Dr. Guite.
Yes, Kartikeya, about the vicious cycle of violence. It's a very interesting, which we as a social scientist also, when we engage with development issues and all, we look into the vicious cycle of poverty. And how this, when we, in the context of this violence, if you see the vicious cycle of violence that's been happening, you see the root cause. We all know what is the root cause of the ethnic war, right? And we see that the failure of the state machinery under the CM Biren Singh cannot be overlooked, and it should be investigated. And when we talk about this vicious, there are like the root cause, the war, the land issue, and then how the violence has come into it. And then you see how this continuing violence against the so-called particular community, here in this context, it's the Kuki community who is at the receiving end. And there are many historical pasts and also related to exploitation or marginalization, which is continued marginalization that has been happening in all the development sphere and paradigm. And when we see that in entire this cycle, that the continued violence towards this particular group, the women and the children, it also seems to enjoy the support of not just many in positions of power in the state, right? Even many intellectuals, academics, influencers, performing artists are speaking out of ethnic loyalty and not focusing on right and wrong. Right? So that's why in Manipur, conversations about ethnic conflict are getting normalized. And many incidents of terrible violence are getting glossed over. Right? And so calls for peace from such voices are, you know, it's woven around these insinuations about particular ethnic groups. And many crimes go unnoticed when influential sections demystify the reason behind this act of violence. So in this entire, and the picture which you have played out, where I would say the women group in the Imphal Valley, the Mera Pairis, they have indeed played an instrumental role in the fight for justice in Manipur, even in the past, in whatever crime happens towards either social evils or towards the armed forces, special power acts and all. But again, now women's group are also now divided along ethnic lines, with some groups reportedly blocking the armed forces from doing their job, while women from other groups are being subjected to the kind of violence we saw in the video. So in this vicious cycle of violence, I would say, perhaps I would say it is time now to seriously consider a solution centered which is around the Kuki Zomi demand for General Mason also really rightly pointed out that either we should seek for a permanent solution and a demand for a UT with legislature. Because such a solution is well within the remit of the constitution. It will take out from this vicious cycle of violence. So though forced, now the government is forced to take action now. But none of these orders should be news to the state government, because so far it has either appeared to not be a neutral and fair arbitrator, or the government is not maintaining a
I have maybe you can take this question little later. Suhasji, women are at forefront. Most of the visuals, I'm not saying that Manipur is different because women are at the forefront in either its agitation or the visual which we have seen. Is there a context to it? Is there a subtext I'm missing?
Well, I think the subtext is the usual perception which we have is women are the victims. That's absolutely true. But the women are also the perpetrators. They are perpetrators of gross, violations, crime against humanity. And in fact, if you recall the particular incident for which we are debating, where two women were stripped, and I think Dr. Guite had mentioned, some particular women groups calling upon their children, to rape particular women or women belonging to a particular community. So I think the unique thing in Manipur, which is unlike in other parts of the Northeast, I have seen the riots in Assam, from 1990s, 1993 onwards, the riots in Bodoland. I had seen the riots in Karbi Anglong, Bodoland once again, 2012, 2014. I had visited almost all the riot-affected areas. So I think one of the things which I have noticed here is the participation of women in this particular conflict, in the violence. It's unprecedented. So the stereotype ideas of the text, we always believe that women are the target. I think we also have to remember, at least in Manipur case, what we have seen is that women are also the perpetrators. So that's one issue. The second issue which I wanted to mention is, I think given the situation which we have in Manipur, I do not think this is the appropriate time where one could discuss the solution before some semblance of trust is restored. I don't think this is the time to discuss scheduled tribe status of the meitei. This is not the time to discuss, I would say, the autonomy, UT or whatsoever. I think what the state needs at this point in time is some normalcy, some restoration of normalcy, and that has to be done by a neutral party, which is the government of India, central government. So if the central government does not impose president's rule and takes the administration under its own control, I don't think there is in any way they can address the situation to bring the normalcy. And what are we looking at, or what are the possibilities we are having? The possibilities we are having is the government of India is in direct touch because they belong to the same party with Dr. Biren Singh and the BJP, the meitei MLAs. So the party is fully in charge of that. And in charge of the cookies, the responsibilities have been given to Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma to engage in some dialogue, and Intelligence Bureau, whose director has been talking to the Kuki leaders in Delhi, and the parleys are being held. And in fact, when the video came up, the first thing which the Home Minister Amit Shah did was to assure that the Kuki MLAs and the Kuki leaders, etc., have been talked to. But still, I think they are taking an approach which is not taking into account the feelings or the sentiments of highly communalized citizens from both sides. I don't think the meiteis, whoever it is, whether it's Biren Singh or anybody else, will be in a position to take decisions which will not be liked by the majority meitei. And that's where the political compulsion comes in. So that is the lesson which we have to learn from the engagement with the Nagas, because the Manipuri, the meitei are not, no meitei politician, which included Ibobi Singh, could give any assurance with respect to division of powers or division of land, territories. So you learn from that, the Naga talks. So the same will apply to the Kuki politicians, Jomi politicians at this stage. I don't think they can give an inch with respect to the demands for autonomy and etc. So that is why I think if we are sensible enough, if you impose a president in 6 months, bring in the security forces, give them the power, bring or restore normalcy, then of course all these talks could be held. But if anybody is talking about scheduled tribe status, the meitei at this point of time, or the autonomy for the Kukis, I don't think that can be initiated. So I would say all the officials, including in the Intelligence Bureau or the Ministry of Home Affairs, they are actually taking a holistic approach. They have not put their thoughts into the issue. If they had put their thoughts into the issue, then they would have said that, we impose president's rule for 6 months. Maybe at that point of time, Biren Singh again comes back. But you have to restore normalcy. You cannot restore normalcy with this current government. That's very clear. So if you look at the statements of the Prime Minister or the position in the Parliament, I don't think they want a solution. If you want the solution, the first thing you do is to restore credibility of the government. The credibility of the government of Manipur, which has to be done only through the central government. They're shying away from it as if you impose president's rule, that's going to stigmatize you forever. No, rather it's the other way around. That if you do not take measures, history will never forgive you. And as I said, this is the riots which are taking place in the age of information technology. When the riots took place between the Nagas and the Kukis in 93 and 94, at that point in time, information technology was not there. Today, one video can shake the conscience of every human being on the planet Earth. And that's why one video forced the Chief Justice of India to speak, the Prime Minister to speak, debate in the Parliament. So if we are in that age, then this is no longer the riots which took place in the 80s and 90s. No, the situation is different, and I think it's very unfortunate when I look at the response of the Ministry of Home Affairs or the party in the BJP, those who are in power, the Prime Minister, Home Minister. There is no intention whatsoever to resolve this issue, at least to restore the trust for temporarily. Was not even talking about solution. Solution is a long way off.
Mr. Suhas, you are talking about trust. Anshuman, at least an all-party meeting of the local MLAs could have gone through camps. How do you restore trust? You create an all-party sort of a group where all party members, mixed ethnicity, can go from one relief camp to another. That too has not happened. I am not saying that big things happen. Small things should happen. Anshuman, that has also not happened.
Yes, absolutely. And as we were discussing in your channel a few days back, when that certain peace committee was formed, that itself was a non-starter. That itself showed, the lack of trust among various stakeholders, and more than that, the inability, or rather the deliberate unwillingness of the administration to sort of foster that sense of trust. So forget about what you are talking is a very imaginative and much needed solution rather, where there's an all-party coalition of the willing, or all-party sort of group that travels from camp to engineer trust. That would take a lot of proactive effort, and given the bar that this government seems to have set, both the state and central government seems to have said, I think, as Dr. Chakma put it, that's quite far out at the moment, The preliminary steps towards restoring trust, only those itself haven't been taken so far. And all of it, I would repeat, goes back to a very top-down approach. An unflinching, top-down, unmoving approach that the state government seems to be taking, that despite whatever happens, despite the fraying of the social contract in the state, that the leadership won't change, that the leadership won't budge. Why this arrogance after more than 2 months, I don't understand. Why this arrogance after so many lives have been lost? And what I do not understand is, that it's fair to assume that the BJP High Command has a certain degree of leverage, political leverage, given that we are in a federal structure, a certain political leverage over the state government. Why isn't it able to constructively use that leverage to ensure that trust is restored in Manipur, right? So this is a point that I want to drive, that it's not just about bottom-up initiatives, but it's also right now what we are seeing is a reflection and abdication from the very top at both the central and sort of state centers of power. And I would also take this opportunity to say that, you know, while this all-party meeting goes on, there has to be a simultaneous discussion on setting up a transitional justice mechanism which particularly deals with instances of mass violence, sexual violence in the state, because since the last two days and since the video has come out, it's become very clear, as I said, by the Chief Minister's own admission, that the instances of sexual violence aren't limited to this particular case of the video that we are seeing. That there must have been more than 2 to 3 dozen such cases, maybe hundreds of such cases unfolding in Manipur since more than 2 months. Who will deal with these cases? And as we know, there's a certain social shame and stigma attached to sexual violence, because of which it's sort of a very unfortunate natural deterrence against women from coming out and reporting those instances of sexual violence. So it's not enough for administration or law enforcement officials to just sermonize and preach and say that, you know, women should come out and report sexual violence. It's not so easy for women to do that. It's the onus is on the administration to create that safe and just and anonymized environment for women to come and report sexual violence. And there are several examples and models from around the world on how to do that, from Rwanda, from former Yugoslavia, and other domains of civil war, where, you know, such transitional justice mechanisms are set up. And it is by doing this that a society can genuinely move towards reconciliation and healing. But I don't see that happening anytime soon, given the overall tenor and attitude of the state government particularly. Yeah.
General Meston, you know, how can armed forces, how can General Meston, army can take care of vigilantism for a short period of time? What ways army can be used to prevent vigilantism of any sort? Right now, they have done everything not to provoke any social consequence, social reaction. That is very evident through videos and other things that have been tweeted out. But what can be done? What should be done? What needs to be done?
The army has a tremendous role now, but is the army being allowed to function? That is the first question. The Indian Army, who had apprehended 11 terrorists, and one of them was a kingpin, the most dreaded terrorist, and who got them released? We know the answer. The women of a particular ethnicity precluded the army from even taking them. And this is what exactly is happening. And that is why I stated that the women power is now being used as an instrument of, as a weapon. So firstly, army is not being allowed to function the way an army can function. So that is a start point. And this is a lead point. This is the most important aspect. And here I would also like to add on that immediate thorough inquiry needs to be. I do not know why people have slept quiet on this incident. A dreaded terrorist, 11 dreaded terrorists who had killed soldiers of the 6th Dogra Regiment. They have been left scot-free and they are roaming scot-free. No one has even asked this question. Tomorrow, are we prepared to leave terrorists in J&K and everywhere with this kind of a scenario, where women come and start getting them released and they preclude the use of the armed forces? Where are we heading to? Army has a different role. Army was performing its role, and we were not allowed to perform our basic mandate. This is so sad this is so sad, and I think immediate inquiry needs to be ordered into this aspect. Who were the ringleaders? They could be of any gender. Who were the ringleaders? Who got so many women mobilized? After all, we all know how is a mob formed. There are only onlookers. They just join. But who has initiated it? When the internet was banned and so forth, who has got these people mobilized and used them? Why shouldn't those people be held accountable? In fact, I would like to convey through a channel, this should not be taken lightly, because tomorrow this will send a lesson to all the terrorists, use the women effectively and get your cadres released. So immediate inquiry needs to be ordered and it needs to be investigated. Again, this is a total failure of the state administration. The police, obviously, we all know the answers, why they have failed. And I'm very glad, yesterday I was hearing one of the TV channels, probably one of the ex-BJP of Manipur, if I'm not wrong, his name was Mr. Vora. He was very candid in blaming the police cadres there. I really appreciate the guts of this officer, who is of course retired, but he highlighted the truth, because majority of them would not even like to admit the truth. Now, coming on to the question you have asked, how can army prevent the vigilance? I don't feel we can be doing that. That is not a, because it is again everyone is talking about we have to look for some solutions. These solutions have to be, in fact, now focused. And I gave you, I think, about a few days back, an example of when I was in Rwanda, how the same country, the centuries-old divide between the Hutus and Tutsis, how it has been resolved, and today they are living amicably. So it is possible that the two ethnicities can live together in Manipur, and various things have to be thought of. Now I can give you some solutions. Firstly, the police was involved. So we have to reconstitute, restructure the police. We need to ascertain whether it was dominated only by one ethnicity or what is the mix of ethnicities. Ideal situation is where there is a mix of ethnicity and led in some cases by some ethnicity and in other cases by some, so it constitutes a balanced force. Number two, all ringleaders in the police department, irrespective of the rank, whoever was instrumental in telling their cadres, run away, surrender your weapons, they need to be investigated and they need to be, in fact, just dismissed. There is no other shorter way of that and put behind bars. Not only dismissal. This is a betrayal. This is cheating the country, cheating your own people. We cannot leave our post and run away. It is the worst crime a soldier or a policeman can commit on
important
duty.
Point you have mentioned, restructuring. I think that's the, sometimes I take key words, like one day, when you had mentioned about the limited role, and then the political vacuum needs to be filled. Today it's restructuring. Before that, let me play out the bigger bite of Manipur governor. She's a woman. She's a woman. Let me play out that bite of the Manipur governor to you, that 7-minute bite in which she acknowledges, that full 7-minute bite where she acknowledges.
हाँ, ये जो वीडियो आया है, वायरल हुआ है, आज पूरा देश भी शर्मसार हुआ है और इसको लेकर कई लोगों ने बहुत सारा क्रोध, नाराजी, गुस्सा, मैं समझती हूँ कि जिस तरीके की घटना है, किसी भी व्यक्ति को एकदम हिला देने वाला, झंझोड़ देने वाला, जो कि आप समझते हैं कि मैं मणिपुर की एज ए गवर्नर होने के नाते आज मेरे प्रदेश में इस तरह की घटना होना, ये मेरे मणिपुर प्रदेशवासियों के लिए भी एक बहुत बड़ा ऐसी घटना, उनको भी बहुत दुख हुआ होगा। कोई भी हो, किसी भी तरह की हमारी जो बहनें हैं और इस तरह से जिन व्यक्तियों ने किया है, ये बहुत ही हैवानियत कहना चाहिए और ऐसे लोगों के ऊपर तो जितनी से कड़ी सजा होनी चाहिए, उनको देना चाहिए। और जहाँ तक सवाल है, मैंने आज डीजीपी को भी बुलाया था, पूरी बात को संज्ञान में लिया और मैंने कहा कि जितनी जल्दी हो सके उन सारे आरोपी जिन्होंने इस तरह का दुष्कर्म किया है उनको गिरफ्तार करें और कड़ी से कड़ी कार्रवाई करें। और जिस थाने में 4 मई की जब ये घटना हुई थी, और 18 को जब रिपोर्ट हुई थी तो अभी तक पुलिस के द्वारा क्यों नहीं उसकी जांच करके और ऐसे आरोपियों को गिरफ्तार किया गया। और ये बहुत ही दुखद है और मैंने निर्देश दिया है डीजीपी को कि पुलिस डिपार्टमेंट से भी उन अधिकारियों को भी नोटिस जारी करें, पूछे अगर दोषी है तो उनके ऊपर सख्त कार्रवाई करें, ताकि ऐसी कार्रवाई भी करें कड़ी से कड़ी, ताकि दूसरे लोगों को भविष्य में इस तरह का मतलब दुस्साहस ना हो। पूरे देश के लिए भी एक मैसेज हो कि ऐसे व्यक्ति जो इस तरह की मतलब एक घृणित और हैवी मतलब एक जो जिसको क्या बोलते हैं कि जिनकी शर्म लज्जा मतलब कहना चाहिए कि एक अमानवीयता की हद हो गई, जिसको जितनी निंदा करना चाहिए वो भी कम है। और मैं चाहती हूँ कि ऐसे लोगों के ऊपर सख्त कार्रवाई हो। और इस प्रदेश के लोगों को भी मैं यही कहना चाहूँगी कि ऐसे शर्मनाक घटना के बाद कम से कम जो आज प्रदर्शन हो रहा है, विरोध हो रहा है, हिंसक गतिविधि, उनको समाप्त करना चाहिए। और एक मंच पर दोनों सब लोग बैठकर और जो भी उनकी मांग है, डिमांड है, ये उसका समाधान बैठ के ही सुलझाया जा सकता है। हिंसा से किसी का भी समाधान नहीं हो सकता है, किसी का भी लाभ नहीं हो सकता है। और इसीलिए मैं चाहूँगी कि ऐसे लोगों को जितनी जल्दी हो सके कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए सख्त।
एक स्टेट में 3 महीने से लगातार हिंसा की खबरें आ रही हैं, 3 महीने से अस्थिरता है। क्या आपको लगता है कि राज्य सरकार के रूप में कुछ कमी रह गई है, कुछ और करना चाहिए था जो नहीं हो पाया?
देखिए, जहाँ तक है केंद्र के जो हैं सरकार इस पे पूरा ध्यान दे रही है। 60,000 BSF, असम राइफल, CRP, आपका रैपिड एक्स फोर्स और तमाम पुलिस, तमाम मिला के आज 50-60,000 की संख्या में है लोगों की सुरक्षा कर रही हैं। और इसीलिए बहुत लोगों की पता नहीं, अगर ये फोर्स नहीं रहती, मैं तमाम फोर्स के जवानों को मैं बधाई देती हूँ, धन्यवाद देती हूँ उन सारे अधिकारियों को कि आज मणिपुर की जो जनता की सुरक्षा और रक्षा करने में उनकी बहुत बड़ी भूमिका रही है। और मुझे विश्वास है कि लोगों से मैं यही अपील करना चाहती हूँ कि हिंसा छोड़े, विरोध छोड़े और एक प्लेटफार्म में आकर चर्चा करें। और फिर से हमारा मणिपुर जो पहले जैसा था, एक भाईचारा सद्भावना के साथ लोग रहते थे, वैसे ही मिलकर और फिर से एक नई शुरुआत करें और इस मणिपुर को फिर से एक नई विकास की दिशा में हम आगे बढ़ाएं। यही मैं मणिपुर की प्रदेश की जनता से कहना चाहती हूँ।
डीजीपी आपसे मिलने आए थे, तो क्या रिपोर्ट मिले आरोपियों के बारे में, कितने पैसे?
उन्होंने कहा कि इसके बारे में एक आरोपी पकड़ लिए हैं और जल्दी से जल्दी बाकी को भी हम पकड़ लेंगे। और निश्चित रूप से उनके ऊपर जो भी एक्शन है और जिस तरह की घटना है वो कार्रवाई करने का उन्होंने आश्वस्त किया है, मैंने निर्देश दिया है।
एक आखिरी सवाल, आप प्रशासन आपसे शुरू होता है राज्य में, और बहुत लोग आपसे ये वाला सवाल करते होंगे, आखिर शांति कब आएगी?
शांति तो आएगी, लेकिन जो आज एक दूसरे का जो प्रति जो एक नफरत है कम्युनिटी वाइज जो आज जो चल रहा है, मेथी वर्सेस कुकी का, इन लोगों का जो भी कुछ डिमांड है, मांग है या जो भी कुछ है, इन सबको एक साथ बिठा के और इसको समाधान ढूंढना चाहिए। और साथ में सभी लोग मिलकर, मैंने सभी लोगों से अपील की, पॉलिटिकल पार्टी, सामाजिक संस्थाएं और सभी नेता जो लोग मेरे पास आए थे, इन सब लोगों से भी कहा कि इस मणिपुर में पीस लाने के लिए आप सब लोग सहयोग करें, अपील करें यहाँ की जनता को कि ये हिंसा छोड़े और एक दूसरे के साथ एक सद्भावना बनाए। और मैं समझती हूँ कि सभी लोग यहाँ आकर अपनी अपनी बात और यहाँ के लोगों से अपील भी की। सारे राजनीतिक दल आए और वो भी चाहते हैं कि पीस आए, यहाँ धार्मिक संस्थाओं के अलग अलग सभी धर्मों के 10-12 लोग आए दिल्ली से, मेरे से मुलाकात की। उन्होंने भी प्रार्थना की यहाँ में शांति लाने के लिए और कहा भी कि हम कोशिश करेंगे सब अपनी अपनी कम्युनिटी में जाकर और इसको पीस लाने के लिए उन सब लोगों को समझाएंगे। और मैं समझती हूँ कि ऐसे समय मणिपुर एक बहुत ही नाजुक और गंभीर एक चुनौती से जूझ रहा है यहाँ के लोग, और इस समय उनको एक बीच में आकर और सबको मिलकर यहाँ लोगों को एक प्रकार से शांति लाने की अपील करें, लोगों को समझाएं, तो मैं समझती हूँ कि जल्दी ही शांति आ जाएगी।
थैंक यू।
A sort of a long bite given by the governor. I think there is no doubt, there is nothing wrong to say that the government is in a damage control mode right now. I'm very happy to say that I am joined by Subir Bhaumik, a very noted author and senior journalist from Northeast. Thank you so much, sir. I am also joined by Major General Ashwini Sivach, defense and geopolitics expert. A very warm welcome to you, sir. And I am also joined by Dr. Thongolal Haukep, Assistant Professor, Center for the Study of Law and Governance, JNU. Very warm welcome after a long time. Welcome, Mr. Haukep, all of you. Today, just to take you, we had visuals from Chura Chandpur. We had visuals from place where the houses of the accused were burnt. So we were able to retrieve new footage from as to what was happening on the ground. And Brijesh, apart from that, the footage which we'll be playing on the screen right now, if we can split our screen in two parts, I would, let's split our screen into the two parts, and these are the most powerful visuals. The visuals of Chura Chandpur, and on the right hand side is the visual of Nongpoka Sekmai. And before I move on to a broader part, which is vigilantism, which has been discussed in action in both ways. You can, what is the most surprising part is that the number of women you can see out in protest in both the areas, significantly on the higher side. Let us play the bite of Chief Minister Biren Singh once again.
No, just suddenly one video clip has become viral all over the nation. This was really shock. And today, after seeing the viral video, all the legislature of the ruling BJP and the groups took a decision to condemn the heinous crime, and also we term it was a crime against humanity, and the state government will give possible all effort to get punish the culprit, the element at the highest punishment up to the capital punishment. We will make all effort to get it to them. And I, on behalf of the legislature party and the people of the state, want to appeal to the people of the state that we should make this event as the last against the women, sisters and elders. We should respect the women, we should respect our sisters, our mothers, we should respect our elders. That is why we started operation immediately after seeing the video clips, and now the state police has arrested the suspected male culprits, and the further investigation is going on, and those who involved will also be arrested and booked as per the law of the land at earliest. Thank you.
Sir, how many arrested and how many identified?
As of now, one has arrested yesterday, and recently I got one information, another one also arrested now. And this interrogation is going on. I don't want to make it more elaborate. Thank you.
The police got the information, registered the FIR, but started the investigation and action after 2 months.
ये देखो वही तो बोला है ना, ये मणिपुर में जो वायलेंस जो है कंटिन्यूस चल रहा है, तो इसमें कौन कौन है क्या क्या है इसको आइडेंटिफाई करने में टाइम लगा, तो इमीडिएटली वीडियो मिला, इमीडिएटली देख किया, वी नॉट स्पेयर एनीवन. थैंक यू. जस्ट
My first question is to Subir Bhaumik ji, but before that, I'll read out a copy which has come out on wires, and that it is very, very important. It says that the National Commission of Women wrote letters on May 18th, May 29th and June 19th. The NCW chief said that she took suo motu cognizance of the incident on Friday after the video surfaced. The National Commission for Women chairperson Rekha Sharma on Friday said that she had reached out thrice in the last 3 months to authorities in Manipur over incidents of violence against women, but no response was received from them. She was responding to a report in the section of the media that she claimed that the commission had on June 12th received a complaint about the incident of 2 women being paraded naked on May 4th in the ethnic violence hit northeastern state, but had not taken any action. The May 4th video surfaced online on July 19. This report has been put out by Press Trust of India. Now, Sharma said she denied receiving any report. However, NCW chief said that she had received other complaints regarding women issues. For that, she had reached out thrice to the authorities. She shared the letters sent to the authorities in the state. Sharma had written to them over complaints of incidents of violence against women. We had to verify the authenticity, and also the complaints were not from Manipur, some were not even from India. We reached out to the authorities, but no response was received. So, NCW chief said that she had taken suo motu notice. Dada, your first comment. NCW chief saying letters written on May 18, May 29th and June 19, no response came. Bhaumik ji.
Well, I will first say something more important, which is that these incidents, whenever they have happened, the state police special branch, they report to the state government. You know, such a thing of rape and blazing violence, you know, which has played out over a period of time, definitely quite a few hours, if not half the day, would have been reported definitely. And I am sure, I know for a fact that it was reported by, you know, somebody in the state police special branch from that area, the Thana also. And it has come to the state home department people in Imphal. Also the central ID, that is SID in Imphal, has sent these reports to Delhi, and this will have come to the Home Ministry. Now, why, my question is, why no action was taken on the basis of these intelligence reports which came to both the state and the central government? And similarly, what Rekha Sharma is now saying actually substantiates the attitude of both the government that, you know, attention has been drawn to these kind of crimes against women and no action really taken, no arrest made. The perpetrators are scot-free, they're going around and doing more damage. Point here is, for the argument's sake, Kartikeya, if we say that the intelligence has not reported such an incident, that the intelligence was not doing its job, and those guys need to be sacked and thrown out. If they had done their job, the consumers of intelligence, which means, you know, the Home Secretary level people, the police DGP, what were they doing? And what was the Joint Secretary Home looking after any doing in the Home Ministry in Northeast? Why were they not sort of pushing for action against this? This is the administrative level. And then when, you know, the National Commission on Women, they send such reports, now we say that we have these kind of bodies and we feel very happy about it and we think gender empowerment has been achieved because there are such bodies. But when those bodies are actually drawing specific attention to specific instances of crime, if those letters go unreplied, if there is no apparent action taken by the state government, this actually points to the central argument I have made on your channel and other channels over the last 2 months, that there is a complete failure of governance in Manipur. And this is reflected not only in the lack of action that has not been taken against women, but also, the weapons going out. I am using the term going out of the police armory. People say looted. What looted? Armory से हथियार तब लूट होता है. It's only possible when heavily armed insurgents attack police station. That was not the case in Manipur this time. These weapons were given out to troublemakers, not even insurgents. These are ordinary troublemakers who don't have the wherewithal to go and loot weapons from Thana. Now you have the joke of a lifetime. The drop boxes are put out and people are asked to come and deposit your weapons here. Nothing will happen. If I run away with a weapon, he will just say, General Saab sitting there will spare me. He will ask the police guys, he'll send his troops after me if I loot a weapon from his armory, and he's going to ask the police guys to book me under Arms Act. What kind of governance? आप आके दया करके आप अपना हथियार वापस देके जाओ. Is this governance? So this actually, and there are many such other issues which points to complete failure of governance, but you still have people who are in power in the state and the center facing you and me with a very bold face and saying, मोदी जी ने इसके खिलाफ आवाज उठाया. अरे साहब, हम आवाज उठाना नहीं चाहते हैं, हम चाहते हैं वो कदम उठाए. He's a prime minister. We don't want आवाज उठाना from people in power. Now, if General Saab is, handling a particular sector and there is an insurgent attack there, and the General Saab just does आवाज उठाना, is he doing his job? No. He has to do कदम उठाना. He has to take steps rather than raise his voice. We all can raise our voice as journalists and as citizens, but people in power who are entrusted and empowered to do our job, and that's what taxpayers' money is going into. आवाज उठाना उनका काम नहीं है साहब, कदम उठाना उनका काम है. तो कदम उठाएं, हम देखें, फिर हमको तसल्ली होगा.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, वेरी वेल सेट दादा. Dr. Hawkip, hi, Brijesh Pandey this side. I wanted to ask you, 10 MLAs have also released a statement last evening where they said that, that this is the incident which came out in light 48 hours before of those two women being paraded naked. They're saying that there are more incidents like this. How bad is the situation, Dr. Hawkip?
Brijesh, all these incidents, are not something which we have not talked about.
Yeah.
I have written pieces in Outlook and other, or we have discussed about all these incidents, and we have been, for the last 2 months talking about this rape, murder or other, for the last 2 months already. And it's only through this video that was circulated day before yesterday that outrage, the modesty of women, or it started a kind of outrage, in the country. So this is a kind of visuals that that incite anger among the Indian citizens, and that has an impact, of course, into the politics, into different people from different walks of life. And of course, as I've said, in media reports, in many website portals, these incidents have been reported. It's not just this, two women being paraded. There are other incidents. For instance, in Parampat, two women were brutally raped and killed on the 5th of May. And besides that, on the same day, there were two women who have been shot dead also. The visuals, the pictures of those two women, lying, blooded in a place, has been circulated in social media. So all these things has been there. People, have been saying that these are the two incidents that have been, reported. But there are many others who would not have been reported also so far, because there is no visuals to complain about. So it's mainly what you can see that outrages people But there are many others that had happened, and as we have indicated in the first 1 or 2 weeks, there are about 60 people dead. How those people would have been killed is beyond our imagination, because at that time there was hardly any arms with people. It was like they would have been killed through some kind of sticks, and others, and it would be a painful death for many of them. So yeah, we have been talking all about this, and what has emerged slowly after 2.5 months is something that slowly slip out of people's phone, and eventually it become visible, and it outrages many people with a human conscience. And of course, in the days to come, few will come out of the kind of situation that is happening in Manipur. For the last 2.5 months, there is an internet ban, and because of this internet ban, perhaps some videos that have been kept hidden or kept lying could emerge suddenly also. So as the time goes on, what we can see is that the divide becomes wider, and unless there is a kind of political a solution be done quickly, then the divide would become greater and greater, and there will be no way that the two communities could once again come together and live together.
Yes. General Sivach, one of the biggest worry, other than what is being on display, is the fact that, a lot of arms are still out in the open. There are assault rifles, SLRs and LMGs with lakhs of bullets. It's not a small amount of arms to be in the hand of the public. As Dada very wisely put, that looted within quotes, so we know for sure that whether it is looted or more or probably handed over. How dangerous is this armed, this situation of armed civilians, where the government is seen with from first day of the conflict to this day only with folded hands, requesting them to surrender their weapons, where no such surrender has taken place?
Absolutely. You see, the point is, as on today, the complete environment is surcharged in Manipur, and there are more than 10,000 illegal weapons which are there with both the communities. No doubt about it. All these weapons which were handed over or looted by them, there are about 5,000, only 1,000 were returned back, and there are another 5,000 to 6,000 weapons which have managed to come from Myanmar. So there are 10,000. The whole society charged. The pressure of the law enforcing agencies they are well equipped, well armed compared to the civilian, and that's why the law and order is easy to be maintained. But in the present situation, it is not happening this way. If you are also equipped, so are the people, so are the insurgents. So unfortunately, this is what has happened today. There are so many weapons in the society. Very difficult to bring peace and order until unless you disarm them. So I suppose the roadmap should be like this. First and foremost is seal the border between Myanmar and Manipur, whatever possible it can be done. Second thing is carry out a coordinated search operation. Try to get back these weapons. Till that time, these weapons are with the public. The way you are now showing, these are even not only semi-automatic, they are automatic weapons. Peace will not come. You have to get these weapons back from them. And if you have to use force, so it be. The law and order has to come. Because the gap between the two communities have increased so much, there is a mistrust.
General Sivach, I'll just interrupt you there for a second, sir. It is more than 4,500, 4,537 weapons and more than 6 lakh bullets, ammunition have not been illegally smuggled. They have been stolen from the Manipur police training center, sir.
Absolutely. No, you very rightly said they have been stolen and they have been given. My point is the whole society charge, and another thing is the insurgent on the either side, whether it is Kuki or Meitei, they have joined their own, larger cadre, and they are now trying to defend their own side. So the question is, until and unless these weapons are not taken back from the society, the environment will remain surcharged. So you have to get it, and for that you need some sort of unified command where there is a proper head under whom they work, and that unified command works under the CM, the Chief Minister of the state. It has happened in Assam earlier, where the unified command was made when the URFA and NDFB were very prevalent. It succeeded. The same order was then, taken to Jammu and Kashmir. The unified command is working there. So unified command to the sense that whosoever is one commander, a military commander working under the Chief Minister of the state, so that all these operations are coordinated. I'm saying that there are two aspects to it. Okay, all these things happen, but do we allow the situation to further deteriorate and people keep on taking law in their own hand? We don't want that. We want the law and order should prevail. The weapons should be taken back by doing court and search operation. And in case you have to use force, so it be. Because law and order has to be brought back. People has to have that sense of fear that if they take law in their own hands, the law will not leave them. So this is what is required. Now this incident which has happened on 4th of May, it has been FIR laws. Now this has come into limelight because the videos have been circulated. There may be many more cases like this can happen, because when the society is surcharged, there is a madness, there is an animalhood which comes. You are no more a human being, and that is unfortunately which has happened. So the point today is that it has two aspects. One is whatever has happened, it is a matter of shame for every one of us. We are not proud what has happened. A strict action to be taken against the defaulter. These people should be apprehended at the earliest. 4 of them has already been done, and law should take their own hand. At the same time, move forward now. You have to ensure how you make sure that the violence reduce, law and order prevail, and then slowly and steadily you want that confidence to be built between both the society. Remember what is happening between Kohima and Imphal. The road is blocked. The essential items cannot come. And another very important point which we are missing, that in case the Manipur remains on boil like the way it is happening, it will have direct repercussions in Nagaland and Mizoram. Mizoram, because there are population which is there in Mijos, which is in Lusai Hills, basically Jaw and Chin population, they are Christian, because majority of people who have run away from Manipur have gone to Mizoram. Second is the Nagas in Manipur also have a lot of appreciation of Nagas in Nagaland. So in case if we are not able to sort out this problem at the earliest, then this can have a ramification another state. Remember, Mizoram is peaceful after 86. A very good pact was signed, and I have operated there in 77, 78, 79. That is the time when the talks were started between Lal Dinga and Brigadier Byakchunga and the government of India, and it succeeded, and the peace prevailed. But in case Manipur is, is disturbed, and this can spread, so therefore it is a requirement of the day. Let the law and order should prevail, and for that we need to make a roadmap. We have no other option but to disarm the public, and in that if we have to use force, so it be. And the biggest victims on the either side is the woman. This we are realizing now, that the woman on the both sides would have become a victim. Few of the videos have come, few of them not come. Government is very, very stern now. They want to take action, and they mean business. It is a complex situation. It's not an easy situation, because here there is a distress and mistrust. Two communities which were staying together for years together today are considering each other enemy, and they are taking violence, and they are ready to do anything. Who could have thought the people who were staying together can do such a barbaric act? But they have done it. So therefore, and they not that they had a basically history of violence or criminal activity. They were normal people, but they did it. So the point today is some, however, bring law and order back, get these weapons back from the society, seal the border between between Myanmar and Manipur, and also to ensure that
General Sivach, I'll come to you. Dada, I want to know, as General Sivach was talking, why is the unified command failing in the state of Manipur? Why is it not succeeding in Manipur?
What do you mean failing? Has it been created? You need to create a proper unified command which, which reports to the Chief Minister, but which should be under a military commander there. And the police guys and the others will all be in the committee, and they will be meeting from time to time. And they will be meeting for two different purposes. Some meetings will be on policy, but the regular weekly meetings or daily meetings have to take place to take stock of the operational situation. Now, are these things happening? Has the military commander in charge of the Mike sector, what used to be Mike sector, I don't know what it's called now, Manipur. I have known these commanders of the Mike sector since the days of General P.L. Kuki. So, is it happening? It's not. Somehow the state government, in collusion with the center, because the center there is 355 there, has managed to have a situation in which the Chief Minister, the Chief Secretary and the advisor to the Chief Minister have a final say rather than the local military commander. Here also let me say something, add to what General Srivacha said. I share all the concerns that he has, but there is a way out to get the weapons back. Rather than just launch combing operations which have to be done in some places, these weapons are given out by police officers. And I know this for a fact. Now what the Chief Minister, if he intends to, has to call his DG or the governor and tell the DG, tell your thanedars, the HSO, कि आपके यहाँ से जो हथियार बाहर गया है, in whatever circumstances, it's your duty to get them back. You know who you gave them to. Get those guys to get back these weapons. Otherwise, your job is on the line. Your pension is on the line. You pull these guys up. In Bengali, there is a saying, "Kaan tangle mata se." Pull the ear and the head will come forward. So you do that. You have to take this very tough action. I fully endorse General Srivacha that the time is for tough action and not for, आवाज उठाना. Time is for kadam uthana. So here, I think three things have to be done immediately. Number one, the formal creation of unified command and clear identification of roles in it. State police, their intelligence, are they helping the army? To the best of my knowledge, in a very limited way. The intelligence they're giving out, pretty wishy-washy most often. Second, because I'm in touch with my military friends there, I'm a Rimkolian, sir. I have friends in the, and a fairly senior Rimkolian. Now here, this is what? Unified command is the need of the hour, and not only just unified command in structure, but in process, in operation. Number two, you have to start some kind of a political dialogue, an inter-ethnic dialogue. You have to get this dialogue going. It may not work initially, but you have to agree to disagree, or you have to sit and talk. And the last and most important point one needs to do is some exemplary punishment by identifying people who actually gave out these weapons, pull them up for dereliction of duty. If you have any pride of uniform, you can't be doing this nonsense that मैं मेइतेई हूँ तो मेइतेई गड़बड़ कर रहे हैं, उनके हाथ में हथियार हमने दे दिया, मैं कुकी हूँ तो उनके हाथ में हथियार दे दिया, हो ही नहीं सकता. When you have put on a uniform, you are no longer a meitei or a Kuki. You are an Indian policeman, you are an Indian soldier. And the last point, absolutely, that I want to insist very, very firmly here is that an attitudinal crisis that I have seen has gripped Delhi and Imphal. Tribal autonomy is the need of the hour. Tribal autonomy is not a bad thing. There are people sitting in Imphal and Delhi who say, oh, tribal autonomy ko autonomy dega to kal wo state mangega. No, sir. We did that in Tripura, and today those who are talking about a separate tribal state, unko tribals घास नहीं डाल रहे हैं. Maharaj Pradut Kishore was jumping up and down in Tripura land. No tribal came forward to support him. It has fallen off. And now Maharaj is saying he's going to leave politics. The point is, this was done way back in 1980s. Tribal autonomy turns the tribals into stakeholders. So it's wrong to think that if you give tribal autonomy substantial powers under 6th schedule and the other provisions of Indian Constitution, you will make the tribals stakeholder in the unity of Manipur and
Yes.
not create divisive forces which you are creating at the moment by denying tribals their rightful share of autonomy. Tribal autonomy does create stakeholders, it does not create separatists.
Yes.
So this has to be kept in mind. At the same time, of course, the meitei concerns have to be addressed. Living space, unemployment, that's the real crisis for the meitei. Now you're talking of poppy cultivation. Fine, crack down against poppy cultivation, but also come up with a crop substitution program. I'm a farmer. I'm not a middle class shahri. I understand this. Okay, you remove poppy cultivation, but give that tribal farmer spice or some other thing that will go there and give him a gainful income. Otherwise, the Burmese drug lords will come and provoke these people to plant poppy. And you are talking only of poppy cultivation, which is going to be a problem in future, because if the cultivation spreads, the Burmese drug lords will come here and set up processing unit. But what about processed Burmese drugs, which are coming in from Myanmar? Just to say that cookies are involved in it, no, it will be wrong. What is the Imocha cartel? Who are the people involved in it? Some of the people were caught in, as far as Delhi, having carried amphetamine tablets there in large numbers. And they were not cookies, I can tell you that. I can give you details. So, just to blame a particular community and then create these kind of complications, I'm sorry to say the government in Manipur, the ruling party, has turned an ethnic problem, giving it religious overtones. They've only complicated these problems for political mileage.
Yes.
This will not work.
Yes.
Manipur, I am against the division of Manipur, fondly against the division of Manipur, as I am against the division of Assam or Tripura. No further division, no creation of unviable states in Northeast. But give the cookies what is due to them. Give the Nagas what is due to them.
Yes.
Remind the Nagas. Yeah, why do you want Nagaland? Your people can be chief minister in Manipur. Have you forgotten Vigilantism Singh was the longest serving chief minister of Manipur? He was a Naga. Stay in Manipur. You Tankul Nagas, if you join Nagaland, you won't be a chief minister in Nagaland, sir, because you are seen as Kacha Naga by Aos and Angamis and Chakesans and Semas. So, there are ways of doing things with people, creative ways and pragmatic ways of doing things with people. But you need out of the box thinking. सब कुछ हिंदुत्व के नजर से देखेंगे तो नहीं होगा.
No. Very true. Very true. Very pertinently put, Dada.
With different dynamics, and if you don't handle this dynamics, India का बहुत बड़ा advantage है. Your lookies and activities will happen through this area. You don't handle it properly, you get what my friend, the political scientist Sanjeev Baru has said, durable disorder होगा.
True. Dr. Hawkip, True. Dr. Hawkip, do you see any kind of dialogue between the two ethnicity in the near future? Because if there is a complete absence of dialogue, how do you see any movement forward?
Yes, I don't see any dialogue will happen between civil society organizations in the coming days, because people have lost complete faith on each other. So it has to come, as we have reiterated in this channel also time and again in the last 2.5 months. It has to come from Delhi. In order to bring peace in Manipur, we need to start with a kind of political solution, a political dialogue. Without that, I think nothing is going to happen. There may be a minimal kind of political autonomy, or it may be a separate state or whatever the case that has been demanded. First political solution has to be arrived at in order to bring peace in Manipur, and this has not been pushed forward by the central government so far, and this is the need of the hour, because as you look into the kind of administrative mechanisms that is functioning right now in Manipur, look into the police. It has been divided ethnically, and many of the complaints on sexual violence and others, it has been there for the last almost 3 months, and nothing has been solved, and it has not been examined by the police themselves. So looking into this, and how the administrative mechanisms function we can see that there's nothing that works unless certain form of pressure is put upon by the external agencies. For instance, day before yesterday, we have this viral video, and that outrage only push the state government to take certain actions. Otherwise, no actions would have been taken. So any solution regarding Manipur has to come from Delhi, and there has to be a political solution to this. Otherwise, I don't see any kind of returning to normalcy or people, thinking about opening schools, opening colleges and other governmental institutions in the near future. So some kind of political solution has to be arrived at soon so as to bring normalcy in Manipur.
Professor Prasenjit Biswas, Professor of Philosophy, Northeastern Hill University, has also joined us. Welcome, Professor, to News9 Live. I'll come to you, but first I'll go to General Sivach. General Sivach, we also heard the governor, Governor Anusuya Uke, on the video, the shameful video which has come out, and her response was also very apprehensive. She said that she has spoken to the DGP. She asked why no action was taken, and the fact remains, General Sivaj, that police knew about this. Because there are versions which are coming out from the family say that the cops virtually handed over the family to the mob, and this kind of assertion, if it is coming from right from the top, what exactly does it tell us? That there is no law and order situation there back in the state of Manipur, sir? General Sivach, I would like you to unmute yourself.
I'm unmuting.
Yeah, now you are.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you, sir. Please.
So the point is that on 3rd May, when the violence has erupted, I don't think the state government was prepared for it. The intelligence failed. And by the time they could think about it, the events have taken by themselves. And the way the violence went on both sides, it went like a wildfire. And both sides have become victims, whether it is Kuki or Meitei. And by the time, there's no doubt that the action was slow and sluggish. And since the action was not there, the things get spiral out of control. And as on today, we are finding it, things are not in a very good condition, and we need to bring them back. What governor is trying to convey is, how do we ensure that again we come back to the track, also take a strict action against those who were involved in violence and also in this heinous crime. Because our intention is very noble and we want the thing to come back in the normal. But problem is, how do we go about it? That roadmap. There's another angle which we are missing still, that the Chinese are very happy what is happening in Manipur.
No, General Sivaj, we have captured that in detail. The Mizoram angle, the Chinese angle, the Burmese angle. We have been doing this for the last 1st of May onwards. So we have covered all those angles in great detail and depth, General.
I know. What I'm trying to convey is that that why it is important is that Myanmar and Manipur are interconnected, and also Mizoram, because our act is policy that international highway which is going from India, going to Myanmar, then to Thailand, and then to Laos, Cambodia, then Kaladan multimodal project which is coming from Calcutta to Sitwe, and then through that it is coming to basically Mizoram. All these, why I'm trying to tell you is, and also in Arakan Hills, where we have made number of houses, that all these activities are taking place in Myanmar, where India is involved. And you also find the western part of Myanmar is not in the control of the government of the day, including military junta. There is an insurgency there. And the best part is, what has happened is that China, which has made China-Myanmar economic corridor, has also in touch with certain militant group to just buy peace, because they want this project to be completed in time. So such is the situation in the western part of Myanmar that we have to see.
I would like to, read a response which we have received from the Chief Information Officer, Commissioner of Manipur Government, Oinam Sunil, and he has said that, there have been 6,000 FIRs which have been registered since May 3 in different police station. He says it is impossible to give attention to a particular single case considering the size or small size of Manipur police. And he said maybe delay investigating the case of two women nude parading is because of the large number of FIR. If the video was received around May 4, by now the government would have arrested all accused. The FIR didn't mention about the video. Now this is the response which has come from Oinam Sunil, who is the Chief Information Commissioner of Manipur government. And he says that the FIR didn't mention video. It will be too harsh to blame the government for the delay because all police force were used in firefighting. Government arrested 4 persons within 48 hours of video clip surfacing. Now this is the response which has come from the Chief Election Commission, Chief Information Commissioner of the Manipur government. I will go. It's a fair point, and as a fair news channel, you know, it's our duty to put forth all the versions of all the sides to our viewers. Professor Prasenjit, do you think, you know, what is happening in the state of Manipur is a blow to the BJP's Act East policy, you know, where we have seen how Prime Minister, you know, ever since he has assumed power in May 2014, you know, the key focus area, Professor, has been to make sure that, like, you know, one minister visits the northeastern states once in 15 days and a massive push has been given. Do you think what is happening in Manipur undoes all that thing, or is it too early for me to reach at this juncture?
Undoing probably would be too much to say, but certainly it has impacted in a very negative and deleterious way, especially India's image among the international community is certainly dented by all these unfortunate events, which is like a genocide that is happening in Manipur. Especially this parading naked, you know, and the discussion that is following from.
Okay, I think there is some technical issue with Professor Prasenjit Biswas. Dada, if I may come to you, do you think that this will impact the Prime Minister's Act East policy of what is happening in the state of Manipur?
This will impact India's Act East policy. I hate when you say Prime Minister's Act East policy, because this Act East, he is given the name Act East, but this Look East has originated in the 1990s, started off with Narasimha Rao's government and has slowly developed. The point here is, there are two aspects of Act East. One is maritime. You connect to Southeast Asia through the maritime route. You know, you have a long coastline and which focuses on the east of Asia, so you do that. The other is, and which we are talking about now, is connecting to the tiger economies of Southeast Asia through the land route and situating a backward, underdeveloped region like Northeast at the heart of India's engagement with Southeast Asia, which will have automatic spillover effects in terms of growth and development and infrastructure building in the Northeast. So that was the whole idea. Now Modi ji came and he wanted to give it a push. There are two factors here, and I'm very happy that General Sivaj brought out the Myanmar angle. You know, when you connect to Southeast Asia through land, you have to go through Myanmar. You can't change geography, sir. So, and you have to go through the Northeast. Now, if in the Northeast, and especially Manipur, whose eastern gates have to open to connect to the Southeast Asia, if Manipur is disturbed the way it is now, how do you run a regional connectivity project through a state which is so horribly disturbed and disrupted, where roads will be blocked, you know, for hours and days and weeks together? Also, if you have a neighbor like Myanmar, which is so horribly disturbed now, it is degenerating into civil war, and General Sivaj is absolutely right that in the Sagaing region particularly, you have daily fighting between the PDF forces, lower down with the Chin insurgents, further lower down the Arakan army with the Tamada or the Burmese military. And which is why the Burmese drug lords have turned to Manipur. Earlier they turned to Manipur to transport their drugs through Manipur into the Indian market. Now they're turning to Manipur, Loshedian, Jangi Min, and Wei brothers. These three cartels, they are turning to Manipur, they're turning to Ibocha cartel, not just to transport their processed drugs, but because they can't access their own poppy fields due to the fighting in Myanmar, they are trying to encourage farmers in Manipur to grow poppy so that they can move their processing factories here in Manipur. Very dangerous. Future prospect. So, if you keep all this in mind, you will see that unless you resolve the internal problems, you solve the problem with the Nagas. 25 years you are negotiating with them and still no act. Almost 8 years that you signed a framework agreement and no progress. You have to settle this whole thing with the Nagas. They're the mother of insurgency in Northeast. You have to sort out this meitei Kuki and meitei Aga and all these other problems. If you have to operationalize the act is through land, you can't just bring something from Bombay and transport it through, treat Northeast as a transport corridor. You have to create a manufacturing base here, like the Chinese have done in Yunnan. Huge manufacturing base and then sending those stuff out into other parts of Southeast Asia and also South Asia, as and when possible. You have to create a manufacturing base in the Northeast and not just treat it as a transport corridor, because then it will have no spillover benefits to the local economy. Only our Northeastern brothers will see trucks passing by, big container trucks. So that's not the idea. The idea is if you have to turn Northeast into a developed zone and you have to use your foreign policy outrage, neighborhood outreach for that purpose, the first thing you need is internal stability. And the Indian Army is a fantastic organization, but it's not their job to bring internal stability. They can handle law and order in aid to civil authorities up to a point of time. This is a political problem, has to be solved politically. Where is the political dialogue?
Okay.
गश्त लगाने से एरिया डोमिनेशन से लॉ एंड ऑर्डर आप कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं, पर जब तक ये पॉलिटिकल प्रॉब्लम कंट्रोल नहीं होता है, to turn this area into the spearhead or the jumping board of your lookist policy or actist policy is a far-fetched idea. Cliche is very good. There are some people terrific with sloganeering, coming up with very catchy phrases, including some of our great leaders. उससे काम नहीं होता है.
True.
You have to look at the situation, and I am suggesting an M2M kind of a problem. You have to tackle the problem in Manipur through internal dialogue and everything else that I've said. You have to also take a serious role, play a serious role in peacemaking in Myanmar. Why can't you send a Myanmar peace mission? Oh, we are supporting the ASEAN, 5-point consensus. What do you mean by supporting the ASEAN? You think you're a regional power and you become a regional power by propagating wait and watch? You have to play a role. You are the land of Gandhi. Send a Gandhi peace mission. Put somebody from Manipur like R.K. Ranjan Singh. Put Zoram Thanga. Put one of our retired generals who know the area very well. Send one or two other Buddhist monks. Chalinda Bhante, who is very popular in Myanmar and rest of Southeast Asia Buddhist areas because he's the head of the Mahabodhi temple and he hails from Assam. And one or two other monks, Burmese, Vietnamese monk, like Dr. Lam. Creative thinking नहीं है साहब. वो पर्ची लिखते हैं यहाँ वहां से मार के. हमारा पॉलिसी पेपर भी हम देखते हैं ना, ये यहाँ वहां से मार के फलाना सेट. What have you said?
God, I agree with you, Dada. There is a lack of
intelligentsia is also वो cut and paste वाला intelligentsia.
Okay.
Selling Harrison said, falana said. What have you said?
Okay, Professor. Professor Prasenjit, I'm glad you're back with us. There was some issue with the internet. You just heard Subir Dada. He said that there is a lack of creative thinking. What kind of creative thinking, if I may ask you, sir, would you deploy to diffuse the situation here in the state of Manipur?
Actually, for Manipur, what is needed is a broad-based dialogue. Dr. Robert has also said, Shubirda has also said that it's a question of managing this internal conflict. So, the first step is to bring the conflicting sides together, face to face, We are not able to do that. Even track 2 is not possible. There are two parts of the conflict. A part which is actually conflagrating the conflict, and the other part which is largely civil society, people who think, people who deliberate, and they also build up an opinion within their own society. At least one part of this and one part from the other side can be brought together in order to develop a kind of an opinionated idea that this conflict is not leading us anywhere. That kind of a first step of opinion building has to be begun with. That is the job of the government of India, which they haven't started. At the next level, there must be intense surveillance, intense understanding of the conflict zones, why repeatedly certain types of violences are repeating in the night, in the daytime, in the afternoon, and which kind of people are getting involved in it. There is no sensitive understanding of the sensitive zones. Rather, it's a very bird's eye kind of a view that police and paramilitary forces are right now taking, primarily because they don't know the terrain. As Subirda very categorically pointed out, the terrain itself is a big problem for the security forces. They may see certain hamlets, they may see certain habitats, but the chemistry through which the entire thing builds up, the building up of a machinery that gets into the conflict, that is not understood and analyzed by our internal security organizations or by any other who come there to comment and understand the situation. So therefore, the creative engagement would mean starting a process of dialogue by bringing relevant people into focus, and also by bringing certain other kinds of experts who can mediate this dialogue, who can mediate the angularities. The angularities are getting sharpened. The polarities are developing continually, as if it is a multiple kind of polarity through which this conflict is now moving into an undefined zone. And this is precisely a premonition of a kind of a low-level civil war, which is something that is totally undesirable in a democracy. And you never know how it spills on to other places. Then if you look at the fragile connection that Manipur and other parts of Northeast has, as General pointed out, as Subida pointed out, that these connections that you have, which is transcontinental connections, in which Northeast is located. Now these transcontinental connections have to be managed in a manner that it doesn't work against us. Now, how do you really evolve such a framework? Your own framework of Actist policy is not good enough because it is not sufficiently nuanced. Subirda talked about maritime possibility, managing the coastline. So far, we haven't looked at the coastline. Our Situate port is not also ready. We do not have a kind of a deep water port at all in the entire Bay of Bengal. But look at China, how they have created a kind of an enclosure in Bay of Bengal in a very sensitive area through which our goods and services are passing, and goods and services of other countries too are passing. So we are not able to even do area domination in terms of our positioning in the Bay of Bengal. We are not able to monitor properly this transcontinental flow of resources, people, of drugs, of arms, and that is happening as a kind of a long time uncontrolled disorder, which is happening across the border in the case of northeastern India. So therefore, one has to be meticulous. We are not able to develop products and give it a GI tag. We are not able to transport it across the border. And Sagaing province and Myanmar army rule is the biggest obstacle. And there is no diplomatic solution to it as long as China is backing Myanmar's army for its own economic and other narrow interests. So a dialogue with China is also absolutely necessary. And that dialogue is progressing nowhere at this point of time. So you combine all these factors and think holistically, which is missing at this point of time. This needs to be regenerated, recreated, rescripted. Mere Lukeist policy or Actist policy have never been good enough to understand these complexities that are arising on the ground. Okay.
Yes, Dr. Hauke, you heard Professor. I just want to know, what would it take for the two ethnicities to sit together? what would be what kind of I would say promises you are looking for, or the situation to come to a level where both sides can sit together to talk peace, because as he says that this low grade civil war can spin out of control and can have a disastrous consequence. Dr. Haukip?
Brijesh, this one-to-one, talks between the two ethnicities could happen had the conflict been controlled in the first week of May. But now that chance of these two groups coming together has been lost. There's too much a kind of gap between these two communities to come together and talk. And if you look into the kind of civil society organizations that we have also, for instance, in the Valley, most of the civil society organizations, they have lost their value. They are like a frontal organization of certain other organizations. So there's no possibility that the civil society organizations come together, and they have lost their prominence 2 decades before. So what we see is what we can think about is a political solution only now from Delhi. And I have this when we were talking about the Lucas policy, for the last 2 months, I have not mentioned about this Lucas policy, because I have been working on this Lucas policy for about a decade, and I have specialized on this, and I have not uttered a single word on this Lucas policy in the last 2.5 months. So, while studying this for about a decade, I have two things in mind. While presenting a paper in Omro Kumar Das Institute of Social Change and Development in Guwahati about a decade back, I was talking about the land connectivity between the northeastern states itself, because in that seminar on Lucas policy, we were talking about connectivity between the northeast and China, Myanmar, Thailand. But what I was struck was the connectivity that existed during that time. Just 10 years back, the connection between Imphal and Mizoram was so bad. During this time in summer, during monsoon, any vehicle can't pass through this terrain. But after a decade, now, for instance, people in Tiruchenapur have used Mizoram as a kind of passage towards Kolkata, Guwahati, or other places. So this road in the last 10 years has been improved to such an extent. Likewise, we can see in Nagaland, we can see in Meghalaya and Assam. This has been improved in the last 1.5 decade. However, one of the concerns that keep me, thinking is about ethnicity in Northeast India. We are talking about threat between the northeastern states and Myanmar or China or Thailand. Of course, Subirda has talked about the northeast being a dumping ground or a kind of a corridor. That concern has been expressed by many, but what concerns me is about the ethnicities, right? Conflict, in this region. And the other concern that I have is the land part. In one of the articles that I had written about land and identity, forest could be protected through movement of goods and people through Lucas policy. But we are demanding ILP in Manipur, ILP in Meghalaya, in many parts of the Northeast. So we should rethink about all these policies also before, delving into the nuances and other, kind of problematics of the Lucas policy. So yeah, coming back to what you have asked, just let me reiterate once again that there were chances of inter-community dialogue in the second week of May, had the conflict or the kind of riots that had happened on the 3rd and 4th and 5th of May been controlled. There could be possibility that the inter-community dialogue could happen. But now the wedge between the two communities is so deep that thinking of any dialogue between the two communities is not going to happen easily. It may happen in future, maybe after a year, on certain other things. But the political, problems has to be resolved first. That's my take on it.
That's your take. Professor, you heard Dr. Hawkip, then this is the sense which you have gathered, from most of the people that, that had it been in the first week of May or the second week of May, there still was chance of two people, the community coming together and having a word, but not too much bad blood is there. Too much has happened, too much violence, too much has happened. And I think, the videos which has come out has further exacerbated the situation. How, according to you, I mean, if I may ask you to pontificate on this, how, according to you, could be those small steps through which, trust can be regained between the two sides, or trust can be reached out to the Kuki community?
Actually, when the violence is at its peak, that is the time when dialogue should begin. Dialogue is not necessarily a preventive mechanism, but dialogue is a mechanism to understand each other, and that requires a certain kind of mediation. It is to be mediated by an important set of people so that both sides can sit face to face. That critical mediation where one will be carrying messages from one side to the other side and carrying it back to the one side again. So this kind of a bridge building has to happen. Dialogue cannot be a straightforward process. So therefore, a political dialogue requires a lot of expertise, security experts at one level, political brokers at another level, genuine pacemakers at another level, and everybody finally coming together. The situation should be such. So that initiative has not been taken at all. The other important thing is that visits by important political leader, even all party delegation from the parliament, and certain other people who could have mediated, brought the kind of nerves to a soothing situation at the community level. That kind of a talk, or that kind of a visit, that kind of a healing touch has not at all reached Manipur. Everything is left to the security forces, and that's a certain kind of an indolence, certain kind of a laziness that most of the people suffer from by leaving everything to the government and the security forces. Now, government and security forces are to be told how they should play a role of mediation as well, but that kind of channels are not open. It's entirely blocked. The political forces, the political elected members are not even talking to each other. Kuki MLAs and meitei MLAs have stopped talking to each other. An assembly session could have been conducted in order to bring quick peace in Manipur, but that kind of session has not been conducted. So there are steps that need to be taken that are not taken at all. So this is how I look at the situation. We still have many things to do, and it is possible to do, provided right kind of mediation can happen with right kind of people. Then the groups will come and talk. And because the crisis is looming large, therefore talk is possible at this point, provided in a mediated way they are brought together. Yeah.
I'll come to you in a bit after this, but Professor, I would also like to understand, that usually there are whenever this kind of violence happens, there's always a track to reach out to both communities to diffuse the tension. There is also a peace committee, but in this particular case, peace committee was formed and it combusted right at the word go, and then again after that, Professor, there was no further attempt was made to reach out to those Olympians, reach out to those eminent citizens of Manipur belonging to ethnicities other than Kuki and Meiteis. So why do you think that attempt was not taken after the first failed attempt?
Because the point is that there is a certain cycle of violence is already set in after 4th of May. You can see the kind of attacks that have been happening all across after 4th of May. So there is a logic of revenging. Retaliation was already at work. Now that is a grave security situation. Security forces should have been able to contain this. To some extent they have succeeded. But again, there is a conflict between one security force and the other security force. And that kind of conflict is undesirable and unheard of. That has happened in case of Manipur. So therefore, you can see Manipur situation is much more complex than what meets the eyes. So the security situation then became very prominent, and when security situation deteriorates, the right kind of steps that security agencies do know how to take, and political leadership also knows. So there seems to be a breakdown between political leadership and the security agencies. Security agencies were left in the lurch. Many of these measures, many of these people who operated on the ground felt that they are not adequately supported. And to top it all, the intervention by the state police and state agencies and the central forces were at loggerheads, at cross purposes. And then the violence was continually rising, the graph of killing, dead bodies, all forms of torture were rising at that point of time. And nobody came forward to give a healing touch. They just allowed it to happen and it went on that way. So if we analyze the situation, as you said, the memories of those events come back to us, and we can clearly see that no initiative was taken at that point of time to bring the communities together. Rather, various civil society groups were getting triggered and stimulated as if a kind of a medal they're winning by committing violence on the other side. So that mentality spread like wildfire, and there was no stalling and stoppage of that mentality. There was no voice that can contain people from attacking each other. Rather, it was all a certain kind of political machination, engineering, orchestration, all that had happened, leading to the video that we had seen. And many such cases have happened which have not come to the light, as it is discussed by all of you. So therefore, we can see, look at the National Commission of Women. It receives the complaint on 4th of May. It prefers to ignore the complaint. NHRC has woken up much later. Only yesterday they have sent a notice, taking subato cognizance, as they call it. Now, if national agencies are remaining in slumber and no one cares for the Northeast, once again, that's the situation. The gap between the mainland and the Northeast still persists, in spite of all your efforts to show us all, and we keep on talking, and our mainstream people are also listening to this talk. But agencies, they don't really move. There is a strange kind of retapism. There is a conspiracy of silence. There is an irresponsive bureaucracy at the national level that really doesn't respond to a situation unless there is a major disaster. So therefore, they were waiting for that major disaster to happen, to wake up only after that video was publicized. If this video was not publicized, the responses would have been low-key. Nobody would have been responding so acutely at this moment, right, that is happening in Parliament and elsewhere. So we see a kind of a deliberate, whitewashing and a kind of blackmailing that completely spoils the whole situation. And we have to come out from that and cultivate more civic virtues, the virtues of friendship, the idea that somewhere else, some of our fraternal people, those who may not belong to my community, are suffering. That fraternal sense of understanding someone else's suffering, that sense of empathy, that sense of responsibility at the institutional level, not just at the individual level, were all missing. And there were no discussions possible when all these institutional linkages cannot work. And therefore the policy frameworks also collapse, because institutional linkages cannot hold the policy framework. What the state and preach cannot be implemented on the ground because linkages are not working. So this is the precise situation of a stalemate, of a paralysis, of a complete breakdown in relation to Manipur or in any other place.
That's very well articulated, Professor, very well articulated. General Sewaj, we spoke about, you spoke about, how it's an international border, it has massive security implications, and with thousands of guns out there in the hands of civilians, we are sitting on a powder keg, if I may say so. What is the way forward, General? How do you think that how do you feel that, the situation can be controlled first by ensuring that law and order is brought on the ground, because the boots on the ground is not creating enough kind of quake in the heart of those civilians who are armed with SLRs and automatic rifles and lakhs and lakhs of bullets.
Absolutely. See, very important thing we must understand is the western part of Myanmar is a disturbed area. And this has not been even control of military junta in Myanmar. And China itself, when it wants the China-Myanmar economic corridor, which comes from Yunnan to Kuakapu, which they have made a decode, they are even taking the help of the militants to ensure there is a peace there. They are very smart operators. Now, as far as India is concerned, what has happened is that India, Manipur and Myanmar, there is no restriction of moving to 16 kilometers on the either side. So this has been misused, and you will find it, a lot of weapons have come from Myanmar. Also, the drugs have been going from here. People have also come and settled down here. So the question is, they are interlinked. And this is where we have to break this interlink for time being. And that's why I keep on saying, you have to seal the border, and thereafter you have to now ensure that the weapons are recovered back. You can have a different strategy which can work out. If nothing works out, then combing operation is a requirement of day. You have to do it. You have to get a weapon back. Unless the weapons are not retrieved from the society, the peace will not prevail, because then they are empowered to take law in their own hands. So the weapons have to come, and thereafter what is required to be done is you start this peace plan under the governor, which is there, a peace process, very rightly brought out by my co-panelists. Though there is a lot of mistrust and distrust and a gap between both communities, but they have to live together there. They can't go to some other place. So therefore, somewhere the peace process has to start. And rightfully, this is the right time. Let the peace process start. Both sides have got their own points, no doubt about it. But somewhere we have to start, and we have to make sure that we are a neutral and we look into a manner that the problems of either side and reservation of both sides are addressed. I suppose that is very important thing. We should start that thing under the chairmanship of a governor. And at the same time, the military must now start doing the combing operation, start taking weapons. Very important thing which has happened is, which is not coming that much in limelight, that out of at least 19 police stations are there, there is no Armed Force Special Power Act there. It has been removed in March only. Now, why I am telling this is that when in 2020 the situation was bad on line of actual control in Ladakh, you find thinning of troops from here also. So this has also been made use of it. If the army has to operate again, the intelligence has to be there. They have to co-op with the police. Police today is ineffective, and also it is slightly marginalized, as well as it is divided between the two communities. So this also becoming a problem there. But certainly there is a requirement of day to ensure that you have to take a law in a manner that no one can dare to act against it. People have to have a fear. As on today, there is no fear of weapon, because they are themselves empowered. And till that weapons are not retrieved from society, the violence will not reduce. And the weapons can be only retrieved by number of action, which other panelists have told. But if nothing works, the combing operation is a requirement of the day. At the same time, the peace plan, the peace process between the two communities must start. Third thing is that in spite of whatever is happening, ensure that what Myanmar or what Manipur does not lack is the essential item. Whatever you may do, you have to open this Kohima to Imphal route so that your essential can come, or you make use of by air, you bring it, so that the people don't feel the pinch, and the people feel that the care has been taken. So I suppose the healing effect has to start. This video which has come, there may be many more like this, it may have happened, but this may be eye-opener. This may be eye-opener for the whole country, and we have now realized it, the worst situation has occurred. So many such incidents would have taken. It is a matter of shame for all of us. Maybe that we start now acting, and we start taking situation under control, and start operating, and make a roadmap. Make a roadmap. Take everyone with us, and make sure in time to come actual peace prevail.
Okay. Let's listen into Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge and Rekha Sharma, Chairman of NCW, who has been at the receiving end for not reacting. She has clarified her situation, and then I'll come back to you.
मैं पार्लियामेंट में ये सवाल उठाया था, लेकिन हमको मौका नहीं मिला। गवर्नमेंट इस विषय पे चर्चा करना चाहिए, क्योंकि प्रधानमंत्री जी खुद एक बयान देना हमारा डिमांड है, और बयान देने के बाद उसके ऊपर चर्चा होना, और चर्चा के बाद जो निष्कर्ष निकलेगा कि ऑल पार्टी डेलीगेशन जाना या गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से कोई इंक्वायरी होना, ये सब जो भी डिमांड आएंगे वो उस वक्त आएंगे अगर चर्चा हो तो ये हमारी बदकिस्मती है कि प्राइम मिनिस्टर मणिपुर के बारे में वो बाहर स्टेटमेंट दिए, लेकिन हाउस के अंदर पहले स्टेटमेंट देकर बाद में वो लोगों को बता सकते थे, लेकिन उन्होंने पहले तो लोगों को बता दिया, और हाउस जब चल रहा है तो ये हमारा प्रिविलेज होता है कि सभी पार्लियामेंट मेंबर्स का उनके लीडर आकर पहले पार्लियामेंट को बताए, उसके बाद बाहर वो प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस करे जब वो पार्लियामेंट चल रहा है। अगर पार्लियामेंट नहीं चलता तो वो आउटसाइड बोल सकते हैं। जब पार्लियामेंट चल रहा है तो उनकी ड्यूटी होती है कि वो खबर पहले हमारे लोकसभा राज्यसभा में बोलना और समझाना, उसके बाद में चर्चा होना, ये हमारा मकसद है। अनफॉर्चुनेटली वो उसको उन्होंने ध्यान भी नहीं दिया उसको, और सिर्फ अपनी बातें कही। अब मुझे आज इत्तला मिली कि अमित शाह साहब कुछ स्टेटमेंट देने वाले हैं, तो सवाल ये है कि अमित शाह साहब स्टेटमेंट कोई भी दे सकते हैं, दिक्कत नहीं है, लेकिन प्राइम मिनिस्टर आके अगर देते हैं तो वो बहुत बड़ी बात होती है, क्योंकि अब तक उन्होंने 80 दिन में इसके बारे में कहीं जिक्र नहीं किया। अब वो करना चाहिए था, लेकिन इसमें भी उन्होंने अपना विफलता दिखा दी।
Yesterday, when the video came on social media, we again took suo moto and wrote to CS and DG. Additionally, I talked to CS personally and DG and told them that immediately they need to arrest everybody. Today again I talked to the CM on this matter. So it is wrong that NCW was sitting on the complaints, and I think there are some people who are there to malign NCW or malign Government of India, that we are not doing anything. So it is wrong. Again, I would like to clarify that whenever the complaints came, we forwarded and we wrote to DG and CS of Manipur.
Dr. Hauke, you heard both gentlemen. I'd like to come to you and ask you, do you think that this video which has come out will create pressure on the central government now for them to act?
Definitely, it has already created, as I've already said earlier also, these cases were reported by us, by newspapers and others. We have written about it. But for the last 2 months, nothing happened. But it was only this video, the outrage, that came from all sections of people in the country, that, Modi was forced to speak about it. And Subrita has been saying continuously that it's not about speaking out, it's also about acting, in Manipur, we have to act on the law and order situation, which has been totally collapsed since the 3rd of May. And we have to bring people back together, the people who would work for this law and order situation. And since the kind of conflict that we have in Manipur is political, people are divided politically, ethnically. There should be a political solution to bring back normalcy in this state. And as to continue with the other topic that we have been frequently mentioning, that is the Lucas policy to bring about development into this region through trade, through certain mechanisms of exchange with neighboring countries. The law and order situation has to be improved, and we cannot talk about development until all section of the society in Northeast, which is very diverse, are left discontent. We have to look into each and every one's discontentment and try to resolve within the ambit of the Indian Constitution. Or if we can create certain mechanisms that which could be out of Constitution also, that we have to invent it. So the ball is on the court of the central government to look into this matter.
Okay, let's listen into what Governor Anusuya UK had to say.
हाँ, ये जो वीडियो आया है, वायरल हुआ है, आज पूरा देश भी शर्मसार हुआ है और इसको लेकर कई लोगों ने बहुत सारा क्रोध, नाराजी, गुस्सा। मैं समझती हूँ कि जिस तरीके की घटना है, किसी भी व्यक्ति को एकदम हिला देने वाला, झंझोड़ देने वाला, जो कि आप समझते हैं कि मैं मणिपुर की एज ए गवर्नर होने के नाते आज मेरे प्रदेश में इस तरह की घटना होना, ये मेरे मणिपुर प्रदेशवासियों के लिए भी एक बहुत बड़ा ऐसी घटना, उनको भी बहुत दुख हुआ होगा। कोई भी हो, किसी भी तरह की हमारी जो बहनें हैं, और इस तरह से जिन व्यक्तियों ने किया है, ये बहुत ही हैवानियत कहना चाहिए। और ऐसे लोगों के ऊपर तो जितनी से कड़ी सजा होनी चाहिए, उनको देना चाहिए। और जहाँ तक सवाल है, मैंने आज डीजीपी को भी बुलाया था, पूरी बात को संज्ञान में लिया और मैंने कहा कि जितनी जल्दी हो सके उन सारे आरोपी जिन्होंने इस तरह का दुष्कर्म किया है उनको गिरफ्तार करें और कड़ी से कड़ी कार्रवाई करें। और जिस थाने में 4 मई की जब ये घटना हुई थी और 18 को जब रिपोर्ट हुई थी, तो अभी तक पुलिस के द्वारा क्यों नहीं उसकी जांच करके और ऐसे आरोपियों को गिरफ्तार किया गया। और ये बहुत ही दुखद है और मैंने निर्देश दिया है डीजीपी को कि पुलिस डिपार्टमेंट से भी उन अधिकारियों को भी नोटिस जारी करें, पूछे अगर दोषी है तो उनके ऊपर सख्त कार्रवाई करें, ताकि ऐसी कार्रवाई भी करें कड़ी से कड़ी, ताकि दूसरे लोगों को भविष्य में इस तरह का दुस्साहस ना हो। पूरे देश के लिए भी एक मैसेज हो कि ऐसे व्यक्ति जो इस तरह की एक घृणित और हैवी एक जो जिसको क्या बोलते हैं कि जिनकी शर्म लज्जा कहना चाहिए कि एक अमानवीयता की हद हो गई, जिसको जितनी निंदा करना चाहिए वो भी कम है। और मैं चाहती हूँ कि ऐसे लोगों के ऊपर सख्त कार्रवाई हो। और इस प्रदेश के लोगों को भी मैं यही कहना चाहूँगी कि ऐसे शर्मनाक घटना के बाद कम से कम जो आज प्रदर्शन हो रहा है, विरोध हो रहा है, हिंसक गतिविधि, उनको समाप्त करना चाहिए। और एक मंच पर सब लोग बैठकर और जो भी उनकी मांग है, डिमांड है, ये उसका समाधान बैठ के ही सुलझाया जा सकता है। हिंसा से किसी का भी समाधान नहीं हो सकता है, किसी का भी लाभ नहीं हो सकता है। और इसीलिए मैं चाहूँगी कि ऐसे लोगों को जितनी जल्दी हो सके कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए सख्त।
एक स्टेट में 3 महीने से लगातार हिंसा की खबरें आ रही हैं, 3 महीने से अस्थिरता है। क्या आपको लगता है कि राज्य सरकार के रूप में कुछ कमी रह गई है, कुछ और करना चाहिए था जो नहीं हो पाया?
देखिए, जहाँ तक है केंद्र के जो हैं सरकार इस पे पूरा ध्यान दे रही है। 60,000 BSF, असम राइफल, CRP, आपका रैपिड एक्स फोर्स और तमाम पुलिस, तमाम मिला के आज 50-60,000 की संख्या में है, लोगों की सुरक्षा कर रही हैं। और इसीलिए बहुत लोगों की पता नहीं, अगर ये फोर्स नहीं रहती, मैं तमाम फोर्स के जवानों को मैं बधाई देती हूँ, धन्यवाद देती हूँ उन सारे अधिकारियों को कि आज मणिपुर की जो जनता की सुरक्षा और रक्षा करने में उनकी बहुत बड़ी भूमिका रही है। और मुझे विश्वास है कि लोगों से मैं यही अपील करना चाहती हूँ कि हिंसा छोड़े, विरोध छोड़े और एक प्लेटफार्म में आकर चर्चा करें और फिर से हमारा मणिपुर जो पहले जैसा था, एक भाईचारा सद्भावना के साथ लोग रहते थे, वैसे ही मिलकर और फिर से एक नई शुरुआत करें और इस मणिपुर को फिर से एक नई विकास की दिशा में हम आगे बढ़ाएं। यही मैं मणिपुर की प्रदेश की जनता से कहना चाहती हूँ।
मैम, आज DGP आपसे मिलने आए थे, तो क्या रिपोर्ट दी उन्होंने? आरोपियों के बारे में कितने पकड़े?
उन्होंने कहा कि इसके बारे में एक आरोपी पकड़ लिए हैं और जल्दी से जल्दी बाकी को भी हम पकड़ लेंगे और निश्चित रूप से उनके ऊपर जो भी एक्शन है और जिस तरह की घटना है वो कार्रवाई करने का उन्होंने आश्वस्त किया है, मैंने निर्देश दिया है।
एक आखिरी सवाल, आप प्रशासन आपसे शुरू होता है राज्य में, अब बहुत लोग आपसे ये वाला सवाल करते होंगे, आखिर शांति कब आएगी?
शांति तो आएगी, लेकिन जो आज एक दूसरे का जो प्रति जो एक नफरत है कम्युनिटी वाइज जो आज जो चल रहा है, मेथी वर्सेस कुकी का, इन लोगों का जो भी कुछ डिमांड है, मांग है या जो भी कुछ है, इन सबको एक साथ बिठा के और इसको समाधान ढूंढना चाहिए। और साथ में सभी लोग मिलकर, मैंने सभी लोगों से अपील की, पॉलिटिकल पार्टी, सामाजिक संस्थाएं और सभी नेता जो लोग मेरे पास आए थे, इन सब लोगों से भी कहा कि इस मणिपुर में पीस लाने के लिए आप सब लोग सहयोग करें, अपील करें यहाँ की जनता को कि ये हिंसा छोड़े और एक दूसरे के साथ एक सद्भावना बनाए। और मैं समझती हूँ कि सभी लोग यहाँ आकर अपनी अपनी बात और यहाँ के लोगों से अपील भी की, सारे राजनीतिक दल आए और वो भी चाहते हैं कि पीस आए। यहाँ धार्मिक संस्थाओं के अलग अलग सभी धर्मों के 10-12 लोग आए दिल्ली से, मेरे से मुलाकात की, उन्होंने भी प्रार्थना की यहाँ में शांति लाने के लिए और कहा भी कि हम कोशिश करेंगे सब अपनी अपनी कम्युनिटी में जाकर और इसको पीस लाने के लिए उन सब लोगों को समझाएंगे। और मैं समझती हूँ कि ऐसे समय मणिपुर एक बहुत ही नाजुक और गंभीर एक चुनौती से जूझ रहा है यहाँ के लोग, और इस समय उनको एक बीच में आकर और सबको मिलकर यहाँ लोगों को एक प्रकार से शांति लाने की अपील करें, लोगों को समझाएं, तो मैं समझती हूँ कि जल्दी ही शांति आ जाएगी।
थैंक यू।
Well, that was Manipur Governor Uike saying that the perpetrators should be brought to book. The crime is heinous, and she hasn't seen this ever since taking charge. Such situations in Manipur obviously not auguring well and not meaning well. We have seen the developments throughout the day on News9 Live, how the violence remains unabated, and especially after that video that came out, the Prime Minister, the ministers in the government, the opposition, all of them are as of now up in arms that why things came to such a pass. And this video from the past, from May, what the police is claiming, is something that not just raises many questions but also jolts our conscience. Chief Minister Biren Singh had last evening made appearance before the press, had interacted with the press, and obviously on expected lines, Biren Singh, who initially had shown intent to resign but chose not to under public pressure, at least that's what he and the reports would say. But now the situation spiraling out of control, especially with regards to that video that has come out, and Biren Singh was once again faced with the media. Let's take a look.
No, just suddenly one video clip has become viral all over the nation. This was really shock. And today, after seeing the viral video, all the legislature of the ruling BJP and the groups took a decision to condemn the heinous crime, and also we term it was a crime against humanity, and the state government will give possible all effort to get punish the culprit, the element at the highest punishment up to the capital punishment. We will make all effort to get it to them. And I, on behalf of the legislature party and the people of the state, want to appeal to the people of the state that we should make this event as the last against the women, sisters and elders. We should respect the women, we should respect our sisters, our mothers, we should respect our elders. Arrested the suspected male culprit, and will also be arrested and at the earliest. Thank you.
Sir, how many arrested and how many identified?
Organizing.
Recently, I got one information. Another one also arrested now. And just intro. देखो वही तो बोला है ना. ये immediately video मिला, immediately react किया है. Will not spare anyone.
Been friend and Lok Sabha has been adjourned and until Monday, and Rajya Sabha resuming its procedures soon. All those things obviously means that the situation as of now with the government needs to some sort of show some accountability so that the opposition too gets what it wants to listen. And the crisis obviously that is unfolding in the northeastern part of the country needs a closer look, and the BJP government has promised all actions, and the Biren Singh government too, as we heard, is leaving no stone unturned, as the Chief Minister says.
राजनीति घोल दी, उस वाक्य में भी उन्होंने उन प्रदेशों का नाम ले लिया जिसमें विपक्ष की सरकार है.
Professor, I have a point of order today, sir. Page 91, 261 and 262 regarding the expunging of words used in Parliament. I have got two examples, sir, which we can quickly correct. 261, what can be used, what can't be used. Sir.
What is your point of order?
That about the words being used in Parliament just now.
What is your point of order?
These words need to be...
What is point of order?
My point of order is the... Sir, my point of order is in Rule 261.
Direct, one second.
Is the word... 1 minute, sir. One second.
I know. Raghav, take your seat.
Just 1 second, Raghav.
Is something wrong with your seat? Every time you jump. Direct, 1 second.
Sir, my point of order is on the words which can be used in this house or not. That's my limited point of order. I'm going to give you 261, 262. Two examples. Three words were expunged.
और यहाँ तक कि मणिपुर की घटनाओं को लेकर कठोर से कठोर कार्रवाई किए जाने की बात हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कही है, और मणिपुर की घटना पर संसद में चर्चा हो। मैंने ऑल पार्टी मीटिंग में स्वयं भी इस बात को कहा है और आज मैं फिर से सदन में दोहराना चाहता हूं कि हम चाहते हैं कि मणिपुर की घटना पर संसद में चर्चा होनी चाहिए। लेकिन मैं देख रहा हूं कि कुछ ऐसे राजनीतिक दल हैं जो कि अनावश्यक यहाँ पर ऐसी स्थिति पैदा करना चाहते हैं ताकि किसी भी सूरत में मणिपुर की घटना पर चर्चा न हो पाए। मैं स्पष्ट रूप से यह आरोप लगाना चाहता हूं अध्यक्ष महोदय कि सचमुच यह मणिपुर की घटना को गंभीरतापूर्वक लेते हुए उस पर चर्चा होनी चाहिए।
नहीं करना चाहते, आप वाद नहीं करना चाहते, देश की जनता चाहती है सदन चले, मुद्दों पे चर्चा होगी, उससे समाधान होगा, नारेबाजी से समाधान नहीं होगा। सरकार तैयार है चर्चा के लिए, आप तैयार नहीं हो। सदन की कार्रवाई 12 बजे तक के लिए स्थगित की जाती है।
The Manipur incident is very, very disturbing. Number one, it is really something that just shouldn't have happened, and the government must, all these people who have done. As I said, again.
Sir, will you write also to the Chief Minister of now?
Absolutely, to the Chief Minister as well as. That even before this, about a month back, I have already written to the Honorable Prime Minister and the Home Minister regarding certain measures and actions to be taken in Manipur, not as Chief Minister of Meghalaya, but as a political party. So, just like Prime Minister, so we have been doing that. In the last all-party meeting that was called, I had attended personally, and we've been stressing. So yes, this is. All measures should be taken.
पार्लियामेंट में ये सवाल उठाया था, लेकिन हमको मौका नहीं मिला। गवर्नमेंट इस विषय पे चर्चा करना चाहिए, क्योंकि प्रधानमंत्री जी खुद एक बयान देना हमारा डिमांड है, और बयान देने के बाद उसके ऊपर चर्चा होना, और चर्चा के बाद जो निष्कर्ष निकलेगा कि ऑल पार्टी डेलीगेशन जाना या गवर्नमेंट के तरफ से कोई इंक्वायरी होना, ये सब जो भी डिमांड आएंगे वो उस वक्त आएंगे अगर चर्चा हो तो ये हमारी बदकिस्मती है कि प्राइम मिनिस्टर मणिपुर के बारे में वो बाहर स्टेटमेंट दिए, लेकिन हाउस के अंदर पहले स्टेटमेंट देकर बाद में वो लोगों को बता सकते थे, लेकिन उन्होंने पहले तो लोगों को बता दिया, और हाउस जब चल रहा है तो ये हमारा प्रिविलेज होता है कि सभी पार्लियामेंट मेंबर्स का उनके लीडर आकर पहले पार्लियामेंट को बताए, उसके बाद बाहर वो प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस करे जब वो पार्लियामेंट चल रहा है। अगर पार्लियामेंट नहीं चलता तो वो आउटसाइड बोल सकते हैं, जब पार्लियामेंट चल रहा है तो उनकी ड्यूटी होती है कि वो खबर पहले हमारे लोकसभा राज्यसभा में बोलना और समझाना, उसके बाद में चर्चा होना, ये हमारा मकसद है। अनफॉर्चुनेटली वो उसको उन्होंने ध्यान भी नहीं दिया उसको, और सिर्फ अपनी बातें कही। अब मुझे आज इत्तला मिली कि अमित शाह साहब कुछ स्टेटमेंट देने वाले हैं, तो सवाल ये है कि अमित शाह साहब स्टेटमेंट कोई भी दे सकते हैं, दिक्कत नहीं है, लेकिन प्राइम मिनिस्टर आके अगर देते हैं तो वो बहुत बड़ी बात होती है, क्योंकि अब तक उन्होंने 80 दिन में इसके बारे में कहीं जिक्र नहीं किया। अब वो करना चाहिए था, लेकिन इसमें भी उन्होंने अपना विफलता दिखा दी।
We want separate administration. That's the chorus coming out from Manipur. Obviously, the sentiments, the emotions are high, and both men and women alike lining up and making demands. So surprising to say, to see, this is Churachandpur where the demand for separate administration is going on. Not long ago, just a few days back, maybe 2 weeks ago, we saw similar women folk lining up outside the Chief Minister Biren Singh's residence and stopping him from going to the Raj Bhavan and tendering his resignation to the Governor Anusuya Uike. And now, once again, after this visuals, this video that came out, obviously a certain faction is demanding a separate administration, removal of the Chief Minister. And there we see Kuki women sit in protest against an outrageous act of molestation and gang rape of Kuki women. These women folk standing in solidarity with the women who were brutally gang raped and beaten in the month of May. 4th of May is when that video came out. Meanwhile, in Delhi, both the houses were disrupted over Manipur incident. Opposition demanded immediate discussion on Manipur. Rajnath Singh said that the government is ready to discuss Manipur. The situation, who will blink first? The government is ready to discuss Manipur, but still there are acrimonious scenes. The opposition not letting the house function is the constant refrain from the government, from the BJP. And we saw how Lok Sabha was adjourned for the day. It would resume next week on Monday. Rajya Sabha would be resuming by 2:30. As far as the situation in Manipur is concerned, the law and order situation, the officials are saying that the warring groups are in possession of over 6 lakh bullets and 3,000 weapons, .303 rifles, medium machine guns, AK assault rifles, carbines, INSAS light machine guns, INSAS rifles, M16 and MP5 rifles are missing from police armories. There's a whole debate going on whether these arms, all of them were looted or some were just given away. This is one allegation that is floating around, that the protesters, the one faction of the protesting group was actually handed over the munitions. .303 rifles, machine guns, AK assault rifles, all these things. We are not talking about armed forces. We are talking about the police in Manipur and the arms that have been looted from them. Officials also saying that 6 lakh bullets are found missing, 4,537 arms and 6.32 lakh rounds of ammunition missing, mainly from Manipur Police Training Center. 6 lakh rounds of ammunition missing. Out of the stolen weapons, 2,900 fall in the lethal category. Stolen weapons also comprise tear gas and mini flare guns. Officials say that looted arms and ammunition mainly with the rioters in the valley, 5.31% with the rioters in the hills. So this whole breakup, the way it has been shown, obviously it looks like it's an all-out war sort of situation, but the weapons that are being used is that of the government, is that of the police. Meanwhile, let's listen into Mamata Banerjee. We heard Derek O'Brien speaking in Rajya Sabha. Let's listen to TMC leader Mamata Banerjee, who was speaking at one of the rallies and has not spared any. She was speaking at Martyrs' Day rally in Kolkata. Let's listen.
মণিপুরে মা বোনেদের প্রচুর মা বোনেদের হত্যা করা হয়েছে। কত যে মানুষ মরে গেছে আমরা জানি না। দিল্লি এনআরসি থেকে শুরু করে, কেয়া থেকে শুরু করে, বিলকিস থেকে শুরু করে, একেবারে মণিপুর থেকে শুরু করে এনকাউন্টারে ইউপিতে 1000-এর বেশি লোক খুন হয়ে গেছে। বিজেপি রাজ্যগুলোতে খুন হলে কোনো প্রেসকে বলতে দেয় না, অপরাধীদের ছেড়ে দেয়, রেপিস্টদের ছেড়ে দেয়। আমরা কিন্তু এটা করিনি।
Mamata Banerjee there in her trademark style attacking the government, mentioning and listing the names which have been found on the other side of the law, and Mamata basically referring to the fact that the government has been sparing all those who are culprits, but those who are innocent have been punished, and also making a reference to Manipur. Obviously, we have seen how the National Commission for Women too has spoken out, and Chairperson Rekha Sharma has said that she had reached out thrice in the last 3 months to authorities in Manipur over incidents of violence against women, but no response was received from them. She was responding to, unfortunately, is only after a chilling telltale video surfaces or some precious lives are lost. If that is the state of affairs of National Commission of Women, that with thousands and thousands of women protesting their houses being burned, near and dear ones being killed, but National Commission of Women taking cognizance only when a video comes, a suo motu cognizance, when Manipur has been bearing the brunt, has been burning for the last 78 to 79 days. We would be listening into what Rekha Sharma had to say. At times, many would say that her reply looks to be evasive, but Rekha Sharma, being a woman herself, and Anusuya Uike, governor, being a woman herself, obviously their sentiments are also respected, and their solidarity with the women of Manipur, especially after this dastardly act that we saw, that the world saw, of women being paraded in Manipur. Unfortunate incidents. Let's listen into what Rekha Sharma had to say in her defense, and followed by the governor of Manipur. Let's hear her out also.
Yesterday, when the video came on social media, we again took suo motu and wrote to CS and DG. Additionally, I talked to CS personally and DG and told them that immediately they need to arrest everybody. Today again I talked to the CM on this matter. So it is wrong that NCW was sitting on the complaints, and I think there are some people who are there to malign NCW or malign Government of India, that we are not doing anything. So it is wrong. Again, I would like to clarify that whenever the complaints came, we forwarded and we wrote to DG and CS of Manipur.
Committee on Tribal Unity organizing a sit-in protest today at Lake of area to show our anger and dissatisfaction against the outrages of molestation and gang rape of Kuki women.
And to Rajya Sabha.
Government, legislative and other business. The report of the Business Advisory Committee be taken to be laid on the table of the House. The House is urgent to meet at 1100 hours on Monday, the 24th July, 1971. You are not on your seat.
There we see even Rajya Sabha adjourned till 11 o'clock on Monday. Obviously unexpected lines, first Lok Sabha and then Rajya Sabha. The business in both the houses hasn't been able to take place, and this is something which is very critical. The opposition parties are saying that they want a discussion on Manipur. The government says yes, they are ready to discuss Manipur, but the house could not function. So this quagmire, this fixed scenario is something which is not helping Manipur's cause. Who will blink first? Whether the opposition would on today itself hold the government accountable and give away the sentencing that yes, government fault, it's a government fault, or do they want to follow democratic practices and allow the House to function, debate it, discuss it, let the world, let the country hear what the ruling dispensation has to say, and then the process has to go on. Well, but as it would happen when these ministers, when these leaders come out of the parliament and when they speak to the media, obviously it's just the blame game. One party saying that the other party did not allow us to speak, whereas we saw just now that the chair of the Rajya Sabha, the upper house, the chairman, trying to give instructions for the business to continue as usual, but acrimony still going on, demanding discussion, demanding probe. So these visuals now, which are coming from Manipur, are of the people there who are demolishing the house of the accused, who has been arrested now in the case of parading two women naked in Manipur on 4th of May. Look at this, throwing haystacks, using bamboo sticks to break this mud wall, and now I think these haystacks obviously would be used to light up the house. Nongpok, Sekmai in Manipur, where the accused house is there. Look at the mob justice. Obviously what has happened is wrong, but clearly this, what it points to the fact is that when people are taking law into their own hands, this shows the lack of it in the area, in the state itself. People resorting to mob justice, breaking down the house and setting it on fire of one of the accused who has been arrested. Now, Biren Singh has responded to it, has spoken on this matter. Let's listen to it.
कल परसों का जो वायरल वीडियो है, उसी वजह से काफ़ी लोग निराश है, टेंशन है, क्योंकि ये अपने सोसाइटी में ऐसा ही लड़की लोग को माँ समझता है और माँ लोग को ऐसा ही बेइज्जती करना ये नहीं होता। तो इसीलिए आज स्टेट वाइड इसका प्रोटेस्ट कर रहा है अगेंस्ट दी जो हुआ है, नेकेड करके अपने बहन लोग को जो किया है, उसी के लिए स्टेट वाइड प्रोटेस्ट हर एक कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी में, हर एक जगह में कर रहा है कि उसको जो गुनहगार है उसको करे सजा दे और इसको एक्शन ले ले लीगली। तो कल उसके घर भी जो एक्यूज नंबर 1 है, वो जो पहले पकड़ा था एक, उसके घर भी बस्ती का मेरा पाई भी इमा लोग आके जला दिया। तो मतलब ये मणिपुर सोसाइटी जो है ये क्राइम अगेंस्ट वुमेन जो है इसके अगेंस्ट में है, वुमेन्स लोग को मां मानता है। तो इसीलिए आज पूरा स्टेट वाइड हर एक कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी में आप मिलेंगे प्रोटेस्ट, ऐसा ही चीज को दोबारा नहीं होना चाहिए बोल के। तो अभी हमने वो गुनाहगारी लोग को अभी एकदम पुलिस की तरफ से कोशिश कर रहा है कि अभी तक मैं 4 तो पकड़ लिया और जो इन्वॉल्व है उसको सब पकड़ेंगे और हम एग्जेम्पलरी पनिशमेंट देने की कोशिश करेंगे। हम लोग सरकार की तरफ से पूरा जोर लगाएंगे। हम अपने एमएलए लोग, मिनिस्टर लोग हर एक कॉन्स्टिट्यूंसी में जाके मिल रहा है कि सबको शांति रखने के लिए शांति से काम करना है और लीगली लॉ की मदद से जो भी करना है लॉ के थ्रू से करना है। और सरकार ने इतना हम लोगों ने पकड़ लिया है और मतलब प्रोटेस्ट पूछ रहा है कि जल्दी से जल्दी वो लोग को पकड़ के जो लीगल का जो देना है उसको पनिशमेंट देने के लिए उसी हिसाब में बना कर रहा है ये प्रोटेस्ट।
There we saw the Chief Minister Biren Singh mentioning that meitei the house, naming them, and obviously saying that the state, the society takes women folk as their mothers and sisters, and this justice, this act shows, this protest shows that how the society is against any sort of crime against women. This is what Chief Minister Biren Singh had to say. Biren Singh obviously reporting the facts, what has happened so far, and saying that exemplary punishment to all the accused in the case where 2 women were paraded on May 4th in Manipur. Obviously, the issue remains critical till now. As mentioned, there have been a lot of arms and ammunition still out there in Manipur, and Kotu has served a 48-hour notice to book all the culprits. Kotu served a 48-hour ultimatum, and the members held a sit-in protest on Thursday at the Lake of Village. They condemned the incident, slammed the gross constitutional violators and infractions of human rights, and obviously something that needs to be done as of now on immediate basis. In Delhi, the demands for the Prime Minister, for the BJP to reply in the Parliament is there. On the other hand, in Manipur, we are seeing once again acrimonious scenes, people resorting to justice, taking law into their own hands, and the government, the Manipur government, promising to take all necessary measures to rein in the perpetrators. Let's listen in to the Governor Anusuya Uike, what she had to say about the women being paraded.
हाँ, ये जो वीडियो आया है, वायरल हुआ है, आज पूरा देश भी शर्मसार हुआ है और इसको लेकर कई लोगों ने बहुत सारा क्रोध, नाराज़ी, गुस्सा, मैं समझती हूँ कि जो जिस तरीके की घटना है, किसी भी व्यक्ति को एकदम हिला देने वाला, झंझोड़ देने वाला, जो कि आप समझते हैं कि मैं मणिपुर की एज ए गवर्नर होने के नाते आज मेरे प्रदेश में इस तरह की घटना होना, ये मेरे मणिपुर प्रदेशवासियों के लिए भी एक बहुत बड़ा मतलब ऐसी घटना उनको भी बहुत दुख हुआ होगा। कोई भी हो, किसी भी तरह की हमारी जो बहनें हैं और इस तरह से जिन व्यक्तियों ने किया है, ये बहुत ही हैवानियत कहना चाहिए और ऐसे लोगों के ऊपर तो जितनी से कड़ी सज़ा होनी चाहिए, उनको देना चाहिए। और जहाँ तक सवाल है, मैंने आज डीजीपी को भी बुलाया था, पूरी बात को संज्ञान में लिया और मैंने कहा कि जितनी जल्दी हो सके उन सारे आरोपी जिन्होंने इस तरह का दुष्कर्म किया है उनको गिरफ्तार करें और कड़ी से कड़ी कार्रवाई करें। और जिस थाने में 4 मई की जब ये घटना हुई थी और 18 को जब रिपोर्ट हुई थी, तो अभी तक पुलिस के द्वारा क्यों नहीं उसकी जांच करके और वैसे आरोपियों को गिरफ्तार किया गया। और ये बहुत ही दुखद है और मैंने निर्देश दिया है डीजीपी को कि पुलिस डिपार्टमेंट से भी उन अधिकारियों को भी नोटिस जारी करें, पूछे अगर दोषी है तो उनके ऊपर सख्त कार्रवाई करें, ताकि ऐसी कार्रवाई भी करें कड़ी से कड़ी, ताकि दूसरे लोगों को भविष्य में इस तरह का मतलब दुस्साहस ना हो। पूरे देश के लिए भी एक मैसेज हो कि ऐसे व्यक्ति जो इस तरह की मतलब एक घृणित और हैवी मतलब एक जो जिसको क्या बोलते हैं कि जिनकी शर्म, जिसको जितनी निंदा करना चाहिए वो भी कम है। चाहती हूँ के ऊपर सख्त कार्रवाई के बाद कम से कम जो आज प्रदर्शन हो रहा है, विरोध हो रहा है, हिंसक गतिविधि, उनको समाप्त करना चाहिए और एक मंच पर दोनों सब लोग बैठकर और जो भी उनकी मांग है, डिमांड है, ये उसका समाधान बैठ के ही सुलझाया जा सकता है। हिंसा से किसी का भी समाधान नहीं हो सकता है, किसी का भी लाभ नहीं हो सकता है। और इसीलिए मैं चाहूँगी कि ऐसे लोगों को जितनी जल्दी हो सके कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए सख्त।
एक स्टेट में 3 महीने से लगातार हिंसा की खबरें आ रही हैं, 3 महीने से अस्थिरता है। क्या आपको लगता है कि राज्य सरकार के रूप में कुछ कमी रह गई है, कुछ और करना चाहिए था जो नहीं हो पाया?
देखिए, जहाँ तक है केंद्र के जो हैं, सरकार इस पे पूरा ध्यान दे रही है। 60,000 BSF, असम राइफल, पुलिस तमाम मिला के आज 50-60,000 की संख्या में है, लोगों की सुरक्षा कर रही हैं। और इसीलिए बहुत लोगों की पता नहीं, अगर ये फोर्स नहीं रहती, मैं तमाम फोर्स के जवानों को मैं बधाई देती हूँ, धन्यवाद देती हूँ उन सारे अधिकारियों को कि आज मणिपुर की जो जनता की सुरक्षा और रक्षा करने में उनकी बहुत बड़ी भूमिका रही है। और मुझे विश्वास है कि लोगों से मैं यही अपील करना चाहती हूँ कि हिंसा छोड़े, विरोध छोड़े और एक प्लेटफार्म में आकर चर्चा करें और फिर से हमारा मणिपुर जो पहले ऐसे ही मिलकर और फिर से एक नई शुरुआत करें और इस मणिपुर को फिर से एक नई विकास की दिशा में हम आगे बढ़ाएं। यही मैं मणिपुर की प्रदेश की जनता से कहना चाहती हूँ।
आज DGP आपसे मिलने आए थे, तो क्या रिपोर्ट दी उन्होंने? आरोपियों के बारे में कितने पकड़े?
उन्होंने कहा कि इसके बारे में एक आरोपी पकड़ लिए हैं और जल्दी से जल्दी बाकी को भी हम पकड़ लेंगे और निश्चित रूप से उनके ऊपर जो भी एक्शन है और जिस तरह की घटना है वो कार्रवाई करने का उन्होंने आश्वस्त किया है, मैंने निर्देश दिया है।
एक आखिरी सवाल, आप प्रशासन आपसे शुरू होता है राज्य में, बहुत लोग आपसे ये वाला सवाल करते होंगे, आखिर शांति कब आएगी?
शांति तो आएगी, लेकिन जो आज एक दूसरे का जो प्रति जो एक नफरत है कम्युनिटी वाइज जो आज जो चल रहा है, मेथी वर्सेस कुकी का, इन लोगों का जो भी कुछ डिमांड है, मांग है या जो भी कुछ है, इन सबको एक साथ बिठा के और इसको समाधान ढूंढना चाहिए। और साथ में सभी लोग मिलकर, मैंने सभी लोगों से अपील की, पॉलिटिकल पार्टी, सामाजिक संस्थाएं और सभी नेता जो लोग मेरे पास आए थे, इन सब लोगों से भी कहा कि इस मणिपुर में पीस लाने के लिए आप सब लोग सहयोग करें, अपील करें यहाँ की जनता को कि ये हिंसा छोड़े और एक दूसरे के साथ एक सद्भावना बनाए। और मैं समझती हूँ कि सभी लोग यहाँ आकर अपनी अपनी बात और यहाँ के लोगों से अपील भी की, सारे राजनीतिक दल आए और वो भी चाहते हैं कि पीस आए। यहाँ धार्मिक संस्थाओं के अलग अलग सभी धर्मों के 10-12 लोग आए दिल्ली से, मेरे से मुलाकात की, उन्होंने भी प्रार्थना की यहाँ में शांति लाने के लिए और कहा भी कि हम कोशिश करेंगे सब अपनी अपनी कम्युनिटी में जाकर और इसको पीस लाने के लिए उन सब लोगों को समझाएंगे। और मैं समझती हूँ कि ऐसे समय मणिपुर एक बहुत ही नाजुक और गंभीर एक चुनौती से जूझ रहा है यहाँ के लोग, और इस समय उनको एक बीच में आकर और सबको मिलकर यहाँ लोगों को एक प्रकार से शांति लाने की अपील करें, लोगों को समझाएं, तो मैं समझती हूँ कि जल्दी ही शांति आ जाएगी।
थैंक यू।
That was the Governor Anusuya Uike, obviously talking about the incident of 2 women being paraded naked in Manipur. And the visuals on the screen, obviously, of women folk breaking down the house of the accused. The house situated in the corner in a remote place in one of the villages, Manipuri villages. And obviously the anger showing solidarity with the women who were attacked from the Kuki community. And now the house being broken down for, in a way, taking revenge and teaching a lesson to the accused. Political drama, although, unfolds in New Delhi, and the visuals from Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha only, which lasted for half the day. Lok Sabha was adjourned earlier, and Rajya Sabha too was adjourned for the day. Now both the houses will be resuming on Monday at 11 a.m. and this is something which is worrisome, that why the houses are not able to function. Meanwhile, as far as the arms and ammunitions in Manipur are concerned, there are warring groups reports which says that the warring groups are in possession of over 6 lakh bullets, 3,000 weapons, .303 rifles, medium machine guns, AK assault rifles, carbines, insars, everything. What you can think of, the lethal category weapons also in the hands of the protesters. Stolen weapons also comprise of tear gas and mini flares. And the officials, state officials, say that the looted arms and ammunition mainly with the rioters in the valley, and 5.31% of those arms are with rioters in the hills. So this is also a breakup of who possesses how many arms, which has been looted, something which is a cause of concern for not just for the Manipuri authorities, but also for the central government and the state government alike. We would be listening to the opposition bites, including that of Priyanka Gandhi, Derek O'Brien, Mallikarjun Kharge, who basically trained their guns on the government. Let's begin with Mamata Banerjee first, where she trained her guns on the center.
মা বোনেদের হত্যা করা হয়েছে, কত যে মানুষ মরে গেছে আমরা জানি না। দিল্লি এনআরসি থেকে শুরু করে, কেয়া থেকে শুরু করে, বিলকিস থেকে শুরু করে, একেবারে মণিপুর থেকে শুরু করে এনকাউন্টারে ইউপিতে 1000-এর বেশি লোক খুন হয়ে গেছে। বিজেপি রাজ্যগুলোতে খুন হলে কোনো প্রেসকে বলতে দেয় না, অপরাধীদের ছেড়ে দেয়, রেপিস্টদের ছেড়ে দেয়। আমরা কিন্তু এটা করিনি।
Professor, I have a point of order today, sir. Page 91, 261 and 262 regarding the expunging of words used in Parliament. I've got 2 examples, sir, which we can quickly correct. 261, what can be used, what can't be used. Sir,
What is your point of order?
that about the words being used in Parliament just now.
What is your point of order?
These words need to be.
What is point of order?
My point of order is the. Sir, my point of order is in Rule 261.
Derek, one second.
Is the word. 1 minute, sir.
One second. I know. Raghav, take your seat.
Just one second, Raghav.
Is something wrong with your? Is something wrong with your seat? Every time you jump. Derek, 1 second.
Sir, my point of order is on the words which can be used in this house or not. That's it, my limited point of order. I'm going to give you 261, 262.
All
2
right.
examples. Yes, sir.
Very fine. But what is the point of order?
The point, Lord, sir, please. 3 words were expunged. I'm going to give you 4 words. Yesterday we said the Prime Minister should open his mouth on Manipur. His Prime Minister got expunged. Manipur got expunged. Why?
It is expunged.
Sir,
One second.
You called him a
One second.
Sir,
No, one second.
You called him a
No, 1 second. The house is adjourned. Speak at 2:30 p.m.
मणिपुर में 2 महीनों से पूरा प्रदेश जल रहा है, घरों में आग लगाई जा रही है, मार काट हो रही है, आपस में महिलाओं के साथ भयावह अत्याचार हो रहा है, बच्चों के सर पर छत नहीं रहे और हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने 77 दिन के लिए कोई बयान ही नहीं दिया इस पे। वहां पे एक्शन लेना छोड़िए, एक लफ्ज नहीं कहा। कल मजबूरी में, क्योंकि एक इतना भयावह वीडियो वायरल हुआ कि वो फिर चुप नहीं रह पाए, तो मजबूरी में कल एक बयान दिया, उन्होंने एक वाक्य बोला और उस वाक्य में भी राजनीति घोल दी। उस वाक्य में भी उन्होंने उन प्रदेशों का नाम ले लिया जिसमें विपक्ष की सरकार है।
Gautam Adani, one of the richest men in the world, or a business honcho, accused of manipulating the market.
अदानी जी 609 नंबर से दूसरे नंबर तक कैसे पहुंचे? सिर्फ एक सवाल पूछा, नरेंद्र मोदी जी, आपका अदानी जी से रिश्ता क्या है?
He has given the space, the railways, the airport, which he has no experience also. So the country's interest has been